Chat.
Sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Naughty Boy. I'm frozen with fear. No, I'm just joking. I am here with Ian David Diaz, the Mega Geek himself, again, because the last one we did was very, very popular. Very popular. And even after the fact, it's just something that, you know, I have, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's my love of Dick Emery, which I just watched. And yes, we're live. Garbage. Hi, how are you, mate? So, like, at last, we're expecting one more person.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Anyway, so I just watched this, right? And do you remember Thames Television? Well, of course,
I do, of course.
UK. And it's so because everywhere in Australia we always had Thames Television stuff, always, and it was like dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing. But Dick Emery, oh my god, this is
Dick Emery was BBC.
No, this is him at Thames.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But he only did 3 specials, and this is for you because it has Linda Carter in it.
Oh, hello.
And she does a song in it. They obviously roped her in, and she did a song about bringing her flowers and stuff.
What was I going to say? It's really strange how, because I've noticed that you're really well into the British comedies of the 70s, and it's strange because you're
1930s.
I know, but you're quite young though. I don't understand the connection.
No, I'm not. I'm really old, but
you don't look old.
I know, thanks. It's just the genes. But I just bought a pin from eBay from the UK. And do you know who this is?
I can't see it.
Where
is it? Hold on, it's in the light. Oh, that's what's his name? The old 40s comedian. I can't remember his name now.
Arthur Askey.
30s. Arthur Askey, that's it. Yeah.
And I thought, you know, I just happened to Google his name one day, and I saw this badge pop up, and I went, "Oh, that looks pretty." And it was a bit of merchandise that he had back in the 40s.
Yeah,
Big-hearted Arthur. It actually has big written on it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Gee, that must cost a fortune." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Actually, I could afford that." It's really fucking cheap compared to what I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, you're right. I've always, you know, you've got the favourites like Are You Being Served and stuff like that. And our other guest has just shown up. Hello, Demon Scythe. How are you, Matt?
All right, how's it going?
Long time no see.
I know, mate. I know what we're talking about.
I've never seen you.
he's talking about old-fashioned, you know, you're probably too young to remember them, old-fashioned comedy shows that used to be on ITV and BBC.
It's like you, Ian. You're friggin' in your 50s. I'm in my late 40s. it's just, you know, we've got these genes that we
something
just
in the water.
You know.
That's what it is. That's what it is, pal.
Yeah, we've got the what is it? The fountain of youth.
That's what it is. Yeah, we regenerate every year. So
it's funny because sometimes I get like when I go on these dating sites and that, my friends are like going, "You should say you're 27." Like, yeah, that's where the lies start. You know.
I didn't think you were in your 40s though, mate. Seriously, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass or anything.
No, that's fine. I'm 46. I know I act like a fucking 2-year-old, but
I think we all do, mate. We all do. It keeps us young. Keeps us young.
It does, doesn't it? It's like, you know, like you were saying before, just before we got in here, that, you know, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I remember I was talking to this guy the other day. He was 26, and the stuff I was saying, it just made no sense to him whatsoever. The stuff that I was talking about, you know, all this old. He's like, "Wow, that's really old," and I'm like, "It was only the fucking 90s."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
It's like Blue's Clues. It's like I mentioned Blue's Clues, and even that was too old.
You know, like, Swap Shop. What's your age, mate? How old are you? Or you're not allowed to say?
Matt, I think.
Oh wow!
You were born in 73, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I was born in 74.
I was born in the 60s, pal.
Well, yeah, my family, I have siblings, a lot older siblings, and
Mm.
they're a lot older. Like there's a 9-year gap between me and my last brother.
Wow.
So yeah, they grew up in a totally different generation than what I did.
Mm.
And actually, it's funny you should mention that because a lot of people voted for us to get together again, and also for me to do a Doctor Who themed
Oh, cool. Well,
video. But I couldn't,
no,
it's really hard because I really wanted to
yeah.
explain my love of Doctor Who, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I loved it as much as I do, but
Too
or I
many
did,
people. There's too many people doing streams on that. We should talk about movies because movies
Oh, we're
are
not going to talk about Doctor Who. Don't worry. Don't
no,
worry. We're
thank
not
God.
talking about Doctor Who. You have your own shows. Don't worry.
I'm Doctor Who out, mate. I tell you, Doctor Who out. But I know
Yeah,
Swap Shop loves talking about Star Wars, so we can talk about Star Wars. He's a huge Star Wars fan.
What there is
Did
left
you
to
hear
talk
about
Yeah.
Hey Swap Shop, did you hear about Tom Kenny,
Who's Tom Kenny?
the voice of Yoda? And he also voices Qui-Gon Jinn, I believe, and a
Oh, is
few
he like
others on
in-
the Clone Wars.
Oh, he's on the animated shows. I didn't know.
Yeah,
No,
and I think he played Commissioner Gordon as well, and he voiced Commissioner Gordon a few times. But anyway, he actually had a stroke and he can't talk anymore.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And he's like in
Okay.
his mid-50s.
Oh,
And
wow.
so you would think the only thing that, you make money out of and you lose it.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
I'll be devastated,
I've
It'd be
often
like
thought
someone
about
ripping my hand off or something.
exactly what I've thought. What happens if I got my drawing arm broken and twisted and I couldn't use it anymore or something like that.
Yeah.
If a person who's really good at running, it's the best thing. The only thing they've really ever been good at in their entire life, and suddenly they end up in a car accident and can't use one of their legs. It's just you don't even bear thinking about.
Yeah, it's
No,
devastating.
and it's like something like Ian, losing his sight or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, not being able to, direct
Oh
anymore.
my God. Yeah, it just beyond the worst, I think.
My heart goes out to him, and
Yeah, I hope he recovers. And people can
he
recover
won't
from these
recover.
things and
He's had
and
to
continue,
retire.
but- yeah, well,
He's had to retire. It's that bad.
Wow.
So he's sort of like a Schumacher,
Yeah,
Mm.
right,
Just
right.
go away quietly,
But it's interesting if you flip it on its head. I remember when I was reading when they made Ray, that film Ray with Jamie Foxx, obviously the life of
Oh yeah,
that wasn't Oscar bait at all, was it?
no, well, right. The story goes that they got him in, Ray Charles, and they sat him in the cinema, and he just listened to the whole film. And all the way through the film, he was going, uh-huh. Do you know what I mean? Obviously agreeing with what they were saying on screen. And after the whole film had finished, Ray Charles he just loved it. He was like, that is just almost what I did.
Asleep?
Almost.
Wow.
Obviously not. Because if you're blind, all you do is listen, don't you?
Yeah.
And listening is just as important as seeing.
Mm.
So he listened to the whole film because they wanted his approval. And he listened to the whole. And in fact, what a little known fact is that Jamie Foxx sang all the songs in that film. Ray Charles never sang any the music in the film. It was Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
So Jamie Foxx is really good at imitating people. So that's incredible. You're talking about losing your legs or your speech, but losing your sight's got to be on the number one thing that no one should ever lose. Let's face it. I mean, if you lose your sight, you can live with it, of course. If you're not a musician, then it's crazy,
I think
right?
I could probably, well, that's it. So you could probably lose your hearing.
Mm.
That's if you had to give up one sense, it would probably be hearing, because at least you can still see stuff, but you just have to watch out and don't go past train tracks or anything,
Yeah.
So.
But they're amazing, aren't they? I mean, if you talk about Stevie Wonder and
I work
Charles.
with disabled people, and what they can do is amazing, and how they adapt,
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because now they're allowing things more freely available on things like smartphones and tablets and all that sort of thing as well. So for the sight. For people, I mean, you can even just use, your Siri or whatever,
Yeah. No, I know it's
So,
crazy. It's I think a swap shop could relate to this. It's like it heightens, everything's heightened if you lose your sight. So your hearing's heightened, isn't it? You could hear. You become essentially Daredevil, don't you? if you lose your,
it's like at night time, isn't it? When you got all the lights off and it's pitch black, suddenly everything else takes over, and you try to remember where all the objects are. You try to sort of you without even knowing it, you're doing kind of an echolocation thing. So when your feet touch the floor, there is even an echo that you're subliminally receiving. So you know certain distances and things like that. So you are sensing immediately as soon as the light goes out, your other things like start taking over. So it does happen straight away. Obviously, the people that are permanently disabled have far higher heightened senses than the ones they've lost. But like you say, that's one thing. What I found so fascinating about the character of Daredevil in the TV show was the way that he picks up on everything. He didn't need his sight anymore, and he became greater. He became far greater at everything else, rather than just have his sight. Yeah. He almost made him super powered in every other aspect, didn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Just to see the way that people are with their abilities and how they adapt. It's just I don't think they become superheroes. I think that'd be a bit of a running joke, actually.
It'd be amazing if that actually made you sort of greater at perceiving the world than if you've got sight. You know what I mean? Because your hearing can pick up things that other people can't, and you just become far better at like dodging things and reaching things.
We need more disabled. It's like that guy in The Boys. That superhero that could hear, had super hearing or whatever. And like the first thing he did was smack his eardrums together.
Oh God!
Did you see that?
Yeah.
He was wearing a blindfold and he could hear everything. And then that guy, what's his name? The really
Homelander
one in the blue suit. Yeah, he just walks up to him and smacks him in the ears. And
that does become your main weekness, then, doesn't it? Really, that's your kryptonite. My one ability is also my greatest weakness.
I got to say though, when I was watching this, right, there was one joke. Now, I'm all for times, like this, where they're really funny. They are fucking funny. They are. I had a good old laugh out of the last one. The first two were pretty awful because they were mostly all variety shows, where they're all singing and dancing in it. But, like, there was one joke where I just went, oh, my God. I can't believe they did that. And it was a rape joke.
Oh.
And I was like, even in the 80s, and you could tell that they cut the camera away because the audience wasn't going to laugh.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, oh, my God, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be enjoying these anymore. I mean, you start doubting yourself,
Those jokes on that subject can be funny because they're so near the knuckle that you shouldn't be laughing. But
rape shouldn't be even. That's not funny. It's like it's like that time that they shot a giant ape and they said no. I said grape ape.
Right.
So
yeah. It's one of those. It's a taboo subject, though, isn't it? That everyone has to avoid. So when you're listening and you get an edgy comedian that actually goes near that territory, that's what kind of causes the humor rather than the actual subject. It's the, oh my God, I can't believe they said that kind of reaction, It's like Jimmy Carr a few years back. He said one of his jokes that he said on stage, I still can't believe he said it now, was what's worse than being RAPD'd? And the audience is just silent, and I was thinking, I was trying to figure out an answer myself. I was thinking, what on earth is he going to say to answer this? And then he just said, oh, no, I completely screwed it up. Sorry. He said, what's worse than finding a worm in your apple? So the punchline was being RAPD'd. And the audience just, they couldn't figure out what the answer was going to be. And it was so out of left field and no one could guess it. So when it hit, it was just like obscene, edgy, and also it fooled them completely. So his kind of shtick is completely twisting the audience.
It's like they've been showing a lot of that Sean Locke. Is it? I hadn't even heard of him before until he died.
Oh, just a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But he could be pretty edgy as well, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because they showed him, and they had this little thing happen with these kids, and they had to guess what the movie was when they had these kids reenacting it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he just turned around and he just said, those kids were shit. And like everybody's going, no, they were really good. They're going to be watching this later and saying, that they were, that they're on TV, and he's like, but they were shit, know. And but sometimes the truth hurts,
Well, true. I mean, he might not even mean it either, but I think some people just say it just to get that extreme laugh, that people just don't expect someone to hear. And that's the thing that kicks them off. That's the thing that is that extreme nature that certain comedians just thrive on. Because, I think comedy can be so homogenized and so cookie cutter and, oh, here's the setup for a joke, here's the punchline. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, I'll laugh a little bit, But when you get something like that, they kind of reach into the taboo area and pull things out and throw them at you. And you're like, you don't know what's hit you, almost. That subject is one of those things, isn't it? That you think, oh my God, I shouldn't be hearing this, but I did. And I laughed by accident. Oh no, I laughed. Oh no, what am I going to do?
I tell you what, there's two comedians that I find puzzling, but I always laugh at them. And when you break down what they say, it makes no sense whatsoever, but it's the way they deliver it. It's absolutely hilarious. One is, mine's gone out of my brain now. He died recently. The guy that was on,
Sean Locke.
Sean Locke. Sean Locke's
that's
humor.
What we were just talking about.
Yeah, Sean Locke's humor is so weird. And another one is, if you go back a long time, is Barrymore. Barrymore's humor, right? It's not really humor, but it's because of who he is. And if you see him in those quiz show things and what he says, when you think about it, it's not funny, but it's just the way he delivers it.
Yeah.
That makes it funny, if you know what I mean. So there are comedians like that, aren't they? So sorry, I went for a pee, came back, and you know what you were talking about. But I kind of figured you were talking about humor.
That's all right. I thought, oh, we've already lost him. Oh,
no. I couldn't hold it anymore.
No, that's all right. But when we were saying about, we were talking about older films and that, because I've got an Arthur Askey pin and everything, and I was watching a Will Hay. Do you know that actor? He was a comedian way back when. He had this movie called Oh, Mr. Porter and all these things. And anyway, I was watching a movie.
Him. Does he always play the teacher he's got round glasses? That's the fella. Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always dodgy with the kids,
Yes.
He's like, oh, the kids are betting or whatever, and he'll put in a bet or something for it.
Yeah.
But and so I was watching one of those, and one of the jokes was they went to Africa, and one of the guys there, one of the natives actually said, "You sir, damn, N-word," and I mean, you just went, you just go, that wouldn't fly today, no.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't at all.
Obviously, back then, different times. But now you have all this thing nowadays where they go through and edit. And I was a bit worried this was going to be edited. I wish they did. Mainly the variety scenes, the singing scenes, the dancing scenes. Oh my God, it's just it's awkward. But it's just the fact that same with Kenny Everett. Kenny Everett, I find hilarious.
If you watch Kenny, I mean, I used to think, I don't know, do you remember Kenny Everett, Swap Shop?
I used to love Kenny Everett. Yeah, I was about 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, but I really used to love Kenny Everett.
But you know what? Right, where I thought he was funniest was when he was on ITV, and the reason why I liked the ITV version of Kenny Everett show so much was because
is this ITV? I don't know. I don't know the difference.
It might be like it might be all
series.
Of them.
Captain Kremen.
Yeah. So basically ITV didn't have a studio audience. What they had was the crew.
Oh.
And when he did stuff, you hear the crew laughing. You could hear the cameramen laughing, and they just leave it in. And that's what made. I wasn't even sure if
that was actually like.
No, that's what made it funny, because
that is the greatest thing when you hear that, because it was like it's like Saturday morning kids TV in the 80s, when there's no, the audience are just like a few people, production crew. But you can hear them all sniggering and laughing in the back. Like Wide Awake Club, I used to love that. And, Timmy Mallet was on there and Tommy Boyd and whatever. And, it was a really innocent show. But occasionally they'd say something a little bit risque and a little bit adult. and the crew would be kind of like they'd all know, you know what I mean? It's like a bit of a nudge and a wink kind of joke, and I'd be sitting there like 11 years old, knowing that it was that it was a bit, you know, risque. But also knowing that it was an innocent show, and I think, did they mean to say that? And the sniggering of the crew confirmed it, and I just loved that because I thought, I'm in on a joke here, you know, I'm in on an adult joke here. This is great, I love it. And you're right, it absolutely does make it a lot more genuine when you have that. It
does, and also there was no mistake that Sally James would wear those low cut tops on Tiz Was. I don't know if you watched Tiz Was, Matt.
Never ever had it here. No, they never ever had it here. No. There was a lot of the UK British quiz shows and that we never got here. You know, it was all just pretty much it was only Australian quiz shows that we had.
Yeah,
but it was mostly British and American comedies that we got.
There's a few Tiz Was clips or episodes, I think, on YouTube. So I'd advise just checking them out just to see how.
I've been watching Jigsaw lately.
Jigsaw's funny.
Wow.
I only because I find what's his name? Rappaport. David Rappaport funny. I've always found him funny, and it was so sad to see how he ended his life, you know. But just watching him and Sylvester McCoy, I didn't even know that was Sylvester McCoy until it was pointed. I'm like, well, that's Sylvester McCoy. Bloody hell! I've met Sylvester McCoy, nicest fella I've ever met. Honestly,
he's had his feet in the, you know, he was well in there with the TV crowd. Sylvester McCoy. He's been in loads of adverts before he became the Doctor.
So many things, isn't he?
I've seen him on Dan's channel when he's gone and, you know, shown it on that Type 40. So
so it's and you know, when you think about humor as a base, as when we were growing up, humor was very different and a lot more innocent when we were kids than it is when you reach your full. I mean that's just general progress, I guess. But it's really saddening now that humor is real humor has been banned. You know. Comedians are scared to say what's on their minds. They're scared to take the mickey out of people or groups.
You had Paul Hogan show there?
Yes, we did. Yeah, Channel 4.
You had Leo Wanker and all them sort of, you know, they didn't change the name or anything for
them
characters?
Not at all. Not at all.
There you go.
Yeah, but those were the days when we accepted it was humor. It wasn't insults to people. It was generally, you know, taking the piss out of groups and people, and you were allowed to do that. Now you can't do that. It's just, what are the comedians going to do now? What, you know, the likes of people like Eddie Murphy and, you know.
I've found that they've taken the, you know, I've found mostly they were just taking the piss in the 80s comedies. They're just taking the piss out of the black people because they were singing groups, not because they were black. But because they were singing groups with, you know, funny singing groups, you know. So, you know, if they were wearing blackface or something like that, you know, they were just making fun of, like, you know, the Jackson 5 or someone like that, you know. You do the same with ABBA as well, you know.
Yeah. You know, what is it? Do you remember Swap Shop? Do you remember Bobby Davro?
I do.
Right. He did this stint, right, where basically he did a quiz show. He used to have a show on Saturdays, right? I think it was 7:00. They used to always have comedian shows on Saturdays. And he did this stint where it was a quiz. And he did Stevie Wonder. And do you know what he did as Stevie Wonder? He put a black stocking on his face.
Right,
with dreadlocks at the back and glasses on top of the black stocking. That was his version of Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? I was like, you'll never fly today. That would never fly today. How crazy is that when you think about it?
I guess people just didn't really, I don't know if they cared as much back then. I think it was just, people just weren't as sensitive about identity, were they, back then? It was just like, the guy's got darker skin. So what? You know, still a bloke. You know, no one really batted an eyelid about it. Even like even repeats of black and white minstrels and things still got shown, and people just thought, but you know, whatever.
I remember that show. Ian's been bringing it up lately, haven't you? But I remember that show, and I was thinking, I only remember it because it used to be taken the piss out of on the Goodies, and they used to repeat it every time that the Goodies was on, so you'd see those clips, you know. But that's you know, that's just,
it's a shame, really, because even humor in films now, I don't find funny at all. And I think the last film I kind of sniggered at was a film called The Interns, which starred oh god, who was in it? There's two American comedians. Who's
It's
the guy
not White
played?
Chicks, is it?
No, The Interns with who's the guy played Hutch in the movie version? You know, Starsky and Hutch. What's his name? No, not the other one.
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. It
well,
starred Owen Wilson and who's the big fella, the really big guy?
oh,
Vince
that's the
Vaughn.
ones
Vince
in-
Vaughn.
Yeah, that's in
Google.
Google, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of sniggered at that, but that goes to show that if I went 20 years back, the film that made me cry with laughter, obviously is in fact even more 20 years. Aeroplane. When I saw that film, Aeroplane,
That's 40 years ago, Ian.
Yeah, sorry, pal. 4 years ago. Every moment made me laugh. There was not one moment in that film when I first saw that film that didn't make me laugh.
It was so it was relentless, wasn't it, with the jokes?
It was.
You barely had a chance to breathe, and then another one hit you. You know.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Airplane, I think of the sequel, where they just reuse the clips over and over again, and it's all in a courtroom, and I'm like, oh, this isn't funny. They're just reshowing all the stuff
because it
they've
wasn't
already shown.
the Zucker brothers, was it? It was they
was
wanted a
it?
sequel, so Zucker brothers didn't do the sequel. It was, obviously it was the studio. But then also another film that made me laugh, apart from the Carry On films, which I can go on forever about the Carry On films.
love 'em.
Mel Brooks is another.
Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
Yeah, he is incredibly funny. Now he's not even allowed now. Do you know what I mean? If you watch his films, there's intelligence behind his films, from Blazing Saddles, as Matt says, to High Anxiety. If you watch that, High Anxiety, there's incredible intelligence behind
Is
that
the one
as
where
well.
he throws the ashes and they blow back in his face?
No,
There's one.
the High Anxiety was the film that took the Mickey
I
out of the
suffer from
Hitchcock
anxiety,
movies.
so
All right. Hitchcock movies. That was absolutely hilarious, and then there was Silent Movie. You ever see that one? Where basically everybody
Yes.
it was that
The
was
only one I laughed at was what's his name? The mime. He was the only one that talked.
Marcel. Yeah,
He was
he's
the
the only
only
one
one
that
that
said something in the whole. Have you ever seen that Swap Shop?
Silent Movie. If I have, I was really young, and I can't remember it. But
It's not one they show on commercial television much.
No, they
because
don't.
It's just all mostly music, and people want to be entertained, just constant.
It's basically right. Silent Movie is basically, if I can remember, if somebody can correct me, it's about these two producers that want to make a movie, right? And they go and they find all these stars to try and give them. There's this bit in it where Paul Newman has broken his leg. He's in the hospital and he's in this wheelchair. And they chase him around the hospital, and he's trying to get away from them. And he does this huge stunt on the wheelchair and stuff. It just made me laugh so much. It was very, very funny. But yeah, Silent Movie. There was obviously no talking in it and stuff. And as Matt points out, the only one that says a word in that film is Marcel, and he says no. So they go up to him and do you want to be in that film? And he goes, no.
He's on the phone. He goes, no.
No, yeah.
He does the whole shtick first with the
does,
miming,
yeah.
and then he goes, no.
He's the only one that spoke in the whole of the movie. Absolutely.
I want to show you something.
Go on in. What's that? Oh, hello. Who signed that then? I can't even read the writing.
I'm a teapot. I'm a teapot, as it say?
Oh, is that Tim Brooke Taylor? He said that a lot. Oh, the goodies.
Wow, nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
Tim Brooke Taylor and Graham Garden, signed by Graham Garden. I met them when they came down to Tassie. Goody, yum, yum. They made a fortune when they came here. And that comedy, this was probably about the early 2000s. So it was about, 25 years after it ended. And they made so much money touring. And it's because it never ever ended here.
They were
for
never
the longest
appreciated. You know what, Matt and Swap Shop, they were never appreciated by the BBC. That's one of the reasons why I really don't like the BBC. I might get a job there one day, who knows?
I'll never forgive Bill Oddie, though. He never showed up. But anyway.
All right. Well, maybe he was busy looking at birds.
Still alive on stage. Not anymore, Tim. Not anymore.
But seriously, though, they were never appreciated. They were always looked down upon because everybody, everyone, even at the BBC, thought that it was just a kids thing, and it wasn't. Thousands of adults, in fact, even millions used to watch their show, loved what the goodies did, and they were never appreciated. It's
like,
such a crime.
I was watching The Conjuring 2, and they were in that. Like, the girl's actually watching British TV, and it's like the goodies are on, and I'm
It's
like,
really funny when Americans mention British culture, because I was watching Ocean's 11 or 12 or wherever the ocean film was, and
it's not the girl one, Ocean 8 or whatever.
What's his name? Eddie Izzard said to Brad Pitt and George Clooney, "Who do you think you are, Morecambe and Wise?" And and you should see their faces, because it must have been just something that he just said, right,
It's like,
out of the blue. And you should see their faces; didn't even know what he was talking about.
Yeah, it's
but
like,
I knew what he was talking about.
It's like Mike Myers.
Yeah.
He's in. Is it Goldmember, the one with Michael Caine in it?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes back in time to save his father or whatever, and like they're talking that he finally meets his father, Michael Caine, and they're sitting on the bed, and they start doing British isms, like he goes, he does the Arthur Askew, I thank you, and all this, and I'm like, that's cool, but a lot of people wouldn't get it at all.
No, they wouldn't at all. They wouldn't. That's really funny, isn't it? That the whole of this world, when it comes to media, well, what we see is dictated by the Americans, but that's why the Americans are so attracted to what English people do, is because that it's a very unique thing. The British humor is very unique compared to the American humor, and I remember.
But a lot of but Ian, a lot of the just to get off for a minute, but the British humor sometimes doesn't translate to Australian either.
Yeah, I know.
Like stuff like Heidi High and that.
Do you remember Matt and Swap Shop? Do you remember there was a discussion with who's the guy that plays Mr. Bean? I can't remember his name.
Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. Sorry, that's my watch going off. I don't know where the fuck it is. Oh, stop.
He hasn't got a smartwatch. He hasn't got a smartwatch.
So basically, there was a discussion, and they were talking about American humor versus British humor, and I think he quite rightly said it was a few of the British community. He said with British humor, the actual characters are really useless. They're stupid and useless, and and they don't really grow. But with the American thing, the Americans, they always have to have some kind of redeeming feature about them. So if you look at Blackadder, literally he was just an arse, wasn't he? There was no redeeming feature about him at all, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at someone, I guess, someone like for instance, someone in Friends, they all have redeeming features about them, even though they have particular quirks about them. You know what I mean?
I never ever liked Johnny English. I never liked Johnny English.
No one does.
I thought
it was based on an advert series.
They made 3 fucking movies out of it.
Yeah, they did. It was based on an advert series in the UK, I think, to do with insurance or something. I can't remember now. He's called Richard Latham, I think he was, and he was far, far better than the movie. And I thought the movie was going to be as clever as the ads, and it was just so dumb compared to those. And I just thought,
they got the girl from Torn in it.
But she's gorgeous.
Oh no, I don't like her at all. She's Australian. You know what? The first thing she did when she left Neighbours, she did a tampon ad.
Oh. Who's that again? Sorry.
Natalie Imbruglia.
Oh, yeah, Imbruglia. Yeah.
She's lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Yeah, you can have her, Ian. We'll send her over. We'll ship her over to you.
She's lovely. She looked great in that film, and I know what you mean, Swap Shop. But those adverts were Barclay card adverts.
That's it.
And his actual name was Latham, wasn't it?
You just reminded me about American Travelers checks. Remember that?
I remember that. Do they still have them?
And there was one. No, there was one. Was it Mr. Wong? Mr. Wong, I've lost my Travelers checks.
That must be Australia, because we never got that one.
Oh yeah, extremely right.
Oh dear.
It's like, okay, you're yours. American Express card.
There was an advert. It was with June Whitfield. I don't know if you remember this, Swap Shop, where it was some food or something like that, and she was playing a Chinese woman, and and also the guy from what's his name? The guy who played Inspector Dreyfus in the Pink Panther film. He was with her in the advert.
Wow.
And she was pretending to make this Chinese food for him, and he was a Chinese guy as well. And she was pretending that she made it, but it wasn't. It was a Bird's Eye product.
Oh my god!
Both of them are playing Chinese. It's crazy.
It's like when I went and saw
today. That'd be high entertainment right now.
I went and saw a the only Jerry Lewis movie I actually ever went and saw was Hardly Working or something like that, and it was like in the early 80s, and he couldn't get a job because he was a clown, and he got sacked from being a clown, so he had to try other jobs, and the whole thing was him going like little sketch comedy or whatever. And there was one where he went into a Japanese restaurant, and the first thing he did was wear the square glasses, the big teeth,
yeah.
And he started doing the whole thing, with the flip and flop.
Crazy, isn't it?
And I'm like, yeah, that would not fly today. I can guarantee you that. But
what about that film? What's his name? The guy who plays Spectre Clouseau. I can't remember his name. I'm so old. What's his name?
I know who you mean.
He did a whole film playing an Asian guy. Talking like that. A whole film. It was a whole film.
He was Indian, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was, but he was playing an Indian in this film.
I can't remember what the film was. Wasn't he? He was in the Lady Killers.
Yeah,
not he was the Tom Hanks one.
He was also right, and I don't know if you guys remember Swap Shop. Do you remember a series called The Road to? So there was a series of films, and it was very successful, called The Road to. It starred Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Bing Crosby and Bob Hope were a duo.
Oh, yeah.
In the was it
Road
the 40s
to Bali,
or the 50s? Road to, so they made these films 50s. Called the Road to films. And there was one scene in one of these films I can't remember. These films are hilarious, by the way, where they had to go to the dentist, and Sellers played this an Indian dentist. Right, an Indian going, hello, what do you want to do? Can I take this teeth out? So I was just sitting there going, this would never fly today.
No,
but you know what? That scene was hilarious. Sorry.
Yeah, but that it made them so hilarious because you knew they weren't of that ethnicity.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were kind of mimicking that made it hilarious. Not because they were ridiculing the race or the that ethnicity in any respect, but because you knew that they were just ordinary English guys, and that's what made it hilarious. It would be just as hilarious if there was a genuine Indian guy trying to do someone from Manchester or something. It'd be just as funny. There was no racial detriment there whatsoever. It was all done, in really good humor and with respect. But today, it's all lumped in with the same thing, isn't it? It's all done. It's all just seen as hate and hate speech and whatever. And it's such a shame that kind of that very innocent humor is just completely lost now.
Yeah, it is.
I miss movies like that,
Yeah.
I just
do you?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, people can't take the piss out of themselves anymore.
No, they can't. You're
and
right,
I mean,
absolutely.
I watch these. I'm with Prime, Amazon Prime, right? And I watch their Prime videos. They have an entire repertoire of horrible Indian films, because they're all Bollywood type things. But a lot of them, they are so shit. They look like jokes in themselves. They have like a Terminator one and all that. And they take themselves so seriously, but they're so bad. And it's like, well, why can't we do that anymore?
Yeah,
why can't we take the piss out of them,
But you know what? There's basically a gap for someone to make a film about this progressive nature in films now, like where they.
I was just saying this the other day.
South Park's amazing,
Yeah, that there is a gap now, and someone should just run with it now.
The first person that does that, I'll tell you what, they're going to make so much money, and it's going to open the floodgates for so many other people doing it as well. There's such a gold mine there to be tapped into, isn't there? Like, there's so much political.
It's got to take one person to have that. The courage to do that.
I'd be on board straight away with that.
I mean, they've been talking about Ian. You talked about carry-ons and that earlier, and they've been talking about making another carry-on film in the last 20 years, whatever, since the last one.
They can't.
But the thing is, though, they're like, oh well, we can't have lecherous old men. We can't have the. I never saw him as a lecherous old man. I just saw him as a person that was wanting to. He was just a human.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd do Barbara Windsor in an instant. Not now, but
But you know what? I always thought that the Carry On films were that they always came across to me as innocent slapstick, postcard humor. That's all they were. And to actually say that it's wrong and stuff like that, it's ridiculous to say that. I mean, Sid James, right? He just was Sid James in every film, but he was hilarious. I mean, the stuff he said in Carry On Up the Khyber makes me cry with laughter.
Yeah,
because of the way he delivers stuff. And I don't understand. Anyway, we all understand what's going on today. It's just no point even mentioning it. So, but yeah, humor's changed. It's crazy, isn't it? When you think about it.
Yeah. It's become this gate kept, isn't it? You're not allowed to have humor about everything anymore. It has to be this kind of humor. It has to be that kind of humor. It has to be regimented. It has to pass approvals.
Yeah.
You can't laugh about something.
The guy was Herbert Lom, by the way.
Herbert Lom, that's it. That's the fella. Yeah.
And he always wore a toupee.
Well, I actually thought if you see those, so when we're talking about humor, let's talk about the Pink Panther films. And I don't know if you guys know them, but when I was a kid, I watched all those Pink Panther films, and I remember going to the cinema, seeing Pink Panther Strikes
the
Again.
Earlier ones.
Yeah, I know, the early ones.
Later ones, the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just trying to find their feet with that one, because it started off with
the one where he
David
goes around
Niven.
with his truncheon and that, and he's doing the whole...
That's hilarious. So when I actually realised what it was about Inspector Clouseau, not the actual Pink Panthers themselves. That's when the film picked up. But it's so funny because I don't know how the French people take this. How is the French people going to take that film when they show that in France? Did they show those films in France? It's like showing Hello, Hello in France. How's that going to work?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, they changed. I believe that they changed the English policeman or something into another character.
Oh, really? Oh, it's just that when he's going, when Inspector Clouseau is going, he's saying some word that doesn't make any sense because they're all meant to be French, right? They're all meant to be French, right? And he says something like "dog" or something like that instead of "dog," and they're going, "What?" So how can they not understand what he's saying? So
I would like a room.
Yeah.
A room.
A room. But they're all meant to be French, so how can they can't not understand him?
There's that awesome one where he's at the swimming pool. You remember?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Pool and the girl dips in and
leans up and he leans back. Yeah.
That's slapstick comedy. That is.
It is, and it's just lost today, isn't it? You watch some of that. I mean, maybe it's because of our age that we look at it and we can laugh, but no one of none of my nephews or nieces would laugh at that. Well, who knows? They might do. I don't know. But
what I tried to introduce my nephews a couple of years ago to a lot of the movies that I used to love, like The Running Man and all these, and they're just like, what? And I'm like, this is cool, It's like this guy's got lightning bolts, and he's like, what?
But that's the thing. I think I've told this story before. My nieces came round for a sleepover, and they basically was watching. They said, "Can we watch a horror film with you?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "What do you want to watch?" They go, "Recommend one." So I recommended The Thing, and then watching The Thing, right? And I go, "This film is so slow. Why isn't it moving?" I'm like, "You're kidding." I said, "You're kidding, right? You're absolutely kidding." And they're on their phones and stuff. And the only time they actually concentrated on it is when the dog split apart, and then their phones were down, and they were watching it from that point on of the film.
You shouldn't show them A Thing from Another World. That's the first one. That's even slower. It's like, get to it, hurry up.
Yeah,
and it's like
they were hiding their eyes and everything when when they were doing the cutting of the trying to find out who it was and stuff. What? Sorry?
Just showed him The Exorcist.
Oh no, that is just hardcore horror. That it really is. Let's face it.
Yeah, that's the way to terrorize them.
And also, when it ended, when it ended, Swap Shop and Matt, they were like, "Is that it? So did they get rid of it? Did they?" I'm like, "No, it's an open ending." And like, that's just a bad ending. They were going, "Uncle Ian, you made us go through this journey, and there was no ending." I'm like,
that's how I reacted when I saw Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland in it. At the end of that, I was sitting there like waiting for this like happy ending and stuff, because it was probably my first introduction to a downbeat ending in a movie. My dad had seen it before and he knew what was coming. And I was just sitting there going, "Oh yeah, and we're getting really to the crux of the story right now. This is the climax." And then he just like screams at the woman and then it ends, and I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
what the hell?" And only in like subsequent years I realized how great that ending is, and how wonderful that, you know, how refreshing it was, and how thought-provoking, and etc. But as a kid, you know, you're so used to having that formulaic arrangement spoon-fed to you with movies about like here's what happens, and the peril, and then we've got the slow build-up, and then we've got a conclusion, and then we've got the nice happy ending, and it's all tied up in a bow, etc. And it's like a template. You get used to it, and then when something's thrown at you completely out of nowhere, and you're completely off guard, and you don't know how to react to it or how to take it. You know, your first reaction is, "Oh, I didn't like that," or "That's not very good." You know, but it's only after being experiencing that a few times do you actually really get into it. So I kind of get where the kids were coming from, but you know, that would have been, I guess, their first sort of introduction to a downbeat ending.
I think that's the worst thing, and we'll talk Star Wars in a second now, because like. That's the one thing. It's like, you know, back then they respected their audiences, you know, and nowadays they're not respecting any of their audiences. They're just doing what they want to do. They're like, "Oh, what would the audience? What would I like? And what would the audience like?" You know, now it's just like, well, fuck them.
Yeah, today it's like everyone. You just feel like your intelligence is being insulted these days. Don't you?
True.
Everything's just.
Well, it is. You're being preached. You're being preached to.
Yeah,
it's like everything you knew is a lie. You know.
But there's been some really devastating endings as I was growing up, as in my 20s and in my teens. I remember watching a film on BBC Two called 6 Days of the Condor. I think it was called 6 Days of the Condor, and it starred Robert Redford. And basically, right,
3 Days of the Condor, isn't it?
That's it.
3 days.
So basically, it starts off, he works for this government agency. Something happens. He basically, it's his turn to go and get the lunch. So he goes out to get the lunch, and they send all these spies to come in and kill everybody in the office. When he comes back, everybody's dead, right? So he realizes that obviously something's gone wrong, and he goes on the run. And because it's Robert Redford, you think, yeah, it's Robert Redford. He's gonna, and he gets killed at the end. Sorry for the spoiler, but I mean, it was just devastating to watch.
Yeah.
You know, when you were watching this film, you know, as a teen.
Yeah, but you don't want to see your heroes. You know, like it's like there's a new thing coming out, and they're releasing a new animated movie called Injustice. And it's based on the video game. You'd know about this, wouldn't you, Swap Shop?
I saw a couple of pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's about the Joker killing everybody at Metropolis. Just blew them up for the fun, you know. And like Superman just turns dark, and he goes and kills the Joker, and then all of a sudden, you know, Batman's up against Superman because, you know, and then they all split into half sort of thing. Yeah, but it's like, you know, I don't want to see that. I want to see Superman be fucking Superman. I don't want to see him evil, you know?
Yeah.
There's like another game coming out called The Suicide Squad, and it's going to be with Harley Quinn and all them jackasses. And like the villains, I guess who? Superman. Superman goes, picks up a guard, and uses his eye beams to incinerate him.
No, it wouldn't happen.
No. This is what I'm saying. It should, and it's like it's all to do with Brainiac controlling them all, you know, and all that sort of thing.
Deconstructing,
but still, you know, it's just the fact that, you know, yeah, exactly.
That's what they're doing. I mean, you know, going back to devastating endings. In fact, I think on Disney, there's a film called Ron Ryan's Express with Frank Sinatra, and that has a devastating end. I remember first seeing that.
I got a shock with that swarm when
devastated.
Fred is it Fred Astaire? Fred Astaire?
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Fred McMurray?
Yeah. It's really seriously, it really does do a number on you. I mean, there's some like open endings which were quite, like the Italian Job. That was a really good open ending, and it was quite satisfying, the ending as well, because obviously they're hanging off the cliff with the gold and stuff, and but it wasn't. You didn't come out to cinema, or you didn't when you were watching, didn't go, oh, that's a terrible ending. You just laughed because it was such a funny ending, you know.
Yeah.
But devastating endings, man, oh man, they just leave you with a bad taste. And you come out of the cinema and you think, what did I just see?
It's like there was this movie that I watched called, and I'll never ever forget it. And there was a movie called Terror Vision. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
Yeah.
And like they're getting this alien, like there's this alien being that's come and invaded Earth.
It's a black comedy, isn't it? Or
yeah. But I didn't find it funny at all.
No.
And so like there's this guy communicating on the TV, and he's saying, look, and he's an alien, and he's like, Earthlings, please be aware that there's this crazy monster going around and everything. And so anyway, he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm on my way. And then he arrives, and the first thing they do is they smack him in the head, and he dies. His head blows up. So, and the hero, the guy that you were expecting all of a sudden is dead, and then everybody else is dead. So it's like, well, what was that was not fucking entertaining. What's entertaining about that? They all die.
It also, I don't know about you guys, but I felt devastated when Gordon Jackson and Richard Attenborough got killed in The Great Escape. I don't know if you watched The Great Escape.
They got shot, didn't they?
They got shot. You didn't see them get shot, but I just, because I like those characters so much watching the film. When the back of the truck and the Germans come out and they point the guns at them, and then all you hear is the guns being shot. I just thought, oh no, I really like those characters. Such a shame they got killed.
I think it was Peter Butterworth from the Carry On films that was actually that was based on. He was one of the people, wasn't that the?
I don't know.
He was also in another movie. Well, he wasn't in the movie. He was actually in a few POW camps, but there was one called The Wooden Horse. And that's another one that he was based on. Apparently, he went for the role in the movie, and they said he was too fat.
Oh dear!
For being in a concentration camp. So.
And it's crazy, isn't it, when you think about these films? I mean, they did take a lot of chances in the 70s, and even one of the greatest cop movies ever made, French Connection, that was a downer. That ended really badly, and that was a sequel, fantastic movie. Yeah, I know, but he did get the frog at the end.
That's like, it's like Dirty Harry. You never want to be his partner, that's for sure.
Yeah, they always die. But French
even if you're a girl, you're not safe.
French Connection ended so badly, and you just kind of wonder about poor old Popeye Doyle was convinced what he did was the right thing at the ending, and he was just totally lost, and as I said, in the 70s they took those risks, didn't they, with movies?
It's kind of like the Ipcris file, when you find the guy that you're working for is actually the enemy.
Actually, no, it wasn't, because I know the Ipcris file very well. It's one of my favorite films. It wasn't. It was his boss did treat him like shit, but it was the other guy that was the guy with the moustache. Dolby was the bad guy.
But it was, that was the one he was talking to on the phone, wasn't it? No, I need to rewatch it. It's been years since I've seen it, but I was like, oh, that's a bit of a downer, It's like,
but Dolby, it was like Dolby was on his side, but it wasn't. He was basically he was the one that was behind it all, and at the end, he was so brainwashed that Dolby was trying to tell him to shoot his boss, and at the end, he came out of it and he shot Dolby. I don't know if you remember the ending, but that's the ending. I love that film.
I know.
I love it.
I've got the Harry Palmer box set on.
It's not worth it. You shouldn't. Seriously, the only good one is the Ipcris file.
Oh no!
The other two are rubbish. The other two.
There's the one with the $1 Million Brain, isn't it?
That is terrible. So slow. So slow. It's incredibly slow. It's a big waste of time. The second and the third one. The second and the third one are a waste of time. It doesn't have the quality and the nuance of the first one. Sorry?
It doesn't have the unofficial sequels. The ones
there's one
later.
There's one with Jason Connery. that was a TV movie, I think, that he did. He played Harry Palmer in that.
He played Ian Fleming.
He did actually. But the thing about, as I said, the thing about Ipcress File is that it wanted to be the opposite to James Bond, and it did it very well. So if you haven't, so I don't know if you noticed when you watch. Have you ever seen it? Swap Shop. Ipcress File.
Ipcress File. No, never watched the original. Well, I know they remade it with Stallone, didn't they? But I never saw that either.
They never made it. No, that was another film.
No.
That was Get Carter. That was Get Carter.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Carter.
Yeah, I thought they did remake it with someone. I can't remember who.
No, they didn't. So
Okay.
Ipcress Files is produced by Harry Saltzman, the obviously the partner of Broccoli. So basically, he wanted to make an anti-James Bond movie, and the novel Ipcress Files was a perfect platform to do it. So when you watch that movie, you got glamorous Moneypenny, and then you got Michael Caine going into the office, obviously, and you have this woman with curly hair, big fat woman with curly hair, going, "Hello, love. What do you want then?" With a cigarette hanging out her mouth. It's the next door, love. It's the next door. It's brilliant. Absolutely freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
And you've got Bond, obviously, he's really handsome and, you know, he's tall, whatever. And then you've got Michael Caine, he's got his glasses on, he can't see without them, and stuff like that. So it's really the opposite. If you watch it,
I want glasses like those.
Totally opposite.
I like
Totally
that idea.
opposite to Bonds. Yeah, it's really quite clever. But the sequels are just a waste of space and time. And, yeah, but that one, if you ever get a chance to watch it, it's absolutely brilliant. Very, very British as well. Very British.
I've got, like I said, I've got it on order, and I'll watch all three. I'm a bit of a sucker for bad movies anyway. So. Because you got to get some movies you just can't, you can't get around. They're bad. So you don't really want to watch them ever again. It's like the Suicide Squad recently. I'm not interested in seeing that ever again. I've seen it now, and it's got no entertainment value for me.
I said to my nieces, I said, "Have you ever seen Star Wars?" And they're like, "No." And I said, "Do you want to see Star Wars?" And they said, "That's an old film, isn't it?" I was like, "How dare you? An old film?"
That's an old film. That's their reaction. That's an old. Oh,
there was someone at work, and they were my age. Well, they're a bit older, but I said to them that Star Wars, and then they said, "Oh, I've only seen the first one."
What?
And I was like, "But the Empire Strikes Back," and they're like, "Nah, it doesn't interest me."
Oh my
god! All right, but yeah, they're uneducated. What can I say?
Can't help
they
that,
think Doctor Who is shit. So
it's just when they said that, I thought to myself, "Am I really that old?"
Yeah,
I mean, I am I guess. But
when I was watching, when I was like watching The Running Man with my nephews, I was like, yeah, it is sort of a bit dated now.
It is dated, it is, but it's still a damn good film, though.
Yeah,
Running Man,
it's entertaining.
Entertainment, pure entertainment.
Yeah.
Same with Total Recall,
Yeah,
Total the original.
It was back when they just wanted to make films that made you feel good and exhilarated you, took you on a ride, and you enjoyed those 2 hours, rather than kind of putting in subliminal messages and trying to teach you something.
I didn't enjoy, I can honestly say, and I was thinking about this the other day, and, when we were talking about Blade Runner and that, and the fact is that when I first saw Blade Runner, I hated it.
Same here.
Absolutely hated it. And I was like, and then when I saw it like a lot later, after I'd had my little turn with Miss Sean Young, I thought, I'll rewatch it just to see what she's on about. And so anyway, I rewatched it, and I was like, but it was the final cut. I believe it's the one that he's supposed to have because remember they released the DVDs, and they released like about 6 or 7 versions of them all on this one like 7 DVDs.
I think I've got that.
But anyway, I watched the final cut, and I loved it.
I didn't. You know what? I watched it the first time I watched it.
You like the voiceover.
So I think I've already said this before. The first time I watched it, there was a magazine called Starburst.
Not on here.
And basically they had this little ticket that was printed on one of the pages. If you cut that ticket out and go to the cinema at 8:00 in the morning, you'll be able to see this film for free. So when I got there, obviously it was hundreds of people queuing up outside the cinema. And I eventually got in because they were showing it all screens. They were showing Blade Runner on all screens. So when one screen was full up, they piled the next people in. So I eventually got in and I saw it. And I was expecting it to be a fast-moving thriller of sorts. set in the future. And I sat there and I was bored. I was really bored. With the first opening scene, I thought, this looks fantastic. And then as it went on, it just got slower and slower. And I just thought, this movie sucks. But then I saw it on the BBC again when I was a lot older, and I kind of appreciate it more for what it is. It's strange, don't you think, that sometimes when you watch a movie again, hello.
I was the same. Yeah, I was really young when I saw Blade Runner for the first time. Although I think I watched it with my dad. My dad was watching it, so he was obviously like in his 20s, so he could appreciate it. But when I was sort of sitting there watching it, I was thinking like, where's the lasers? Where's the space stations? Where's the explosions? And I was like, it just wasn't that kind of movie, and I didn't understand. I thought all sci-fi movies had some kind of excitement factor to them, and it does, but in a completely different way. And only when I got into my late teens and sort of 20s did I really get it, what they were trying to do with that movie. And after I'd seen Alien and all, other Ridley Scott movies, did I kind of get the the directional viewpoint. And from that moment onwards, I was kind of like, yeah, wow, I really do love this, and I did really get on with the voiceover as well. I really did enjoy that. It was my first experience of the film. My introduction to the movie was with the voiceover. And seeing it without the voiceover now kind of feels a bit too much of a lonely experience, I suppose, really.
Same here. I think the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sorry, I just stepped on my dog if you heard that.
That's all right.
I totally get the viewpoint, though, of it being a very sort of slow experience and turning people off.
Yeah.
Like after I'd seen it for the first time, I went back, and because I used to get Return of the Jedi weekly in the UK, and it was one of the B story. It was one of the B strips in the back. They every 70 months they'd change the B strip over.
Did you see that at the cinemas?
I saw it in the cinema.
What, Blade Runner?
Right. There's a scene, right, and I don't know if it's one of those ones. What do they call it? The what sort of effect? The Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
something like that. I saw Return of the Jedi, right, and there's that scene in it where they shoot him in the hand, and then you can see the insides of the workings of his hand, I guess you could say. And so anyway, I remember that scene vividly. It's not in the movie.
No, it is. It is.
Is it?
Return of the
Because
Jedi.
every time but I don't know if it's me or what, but I expected it to be a little bit more vivid than what it was. It was like, the inner workings of everything. But
the brain does fill in, though. The brain does fill in things that you don't necessarily see with your eyes.
Yeah, isn't it weird?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
it's like when I'm out running, right? This is an example, nothing to do with entertainment, obviously. But it's psychologically wise, it might have something to do with if you're writing or thinking of writing or directing a movie. But when I'm out running,
I stepped on him. Sorry, garbage.
When I go for a run at night time, my eyes kind of focus in the distance on objects, and it might be a junction box at the side of the road or something. I'm thinking, is that a person walking towards me? And it's like, oh, it must be a person. And only when I get near it do I realize it's just an inanimate object, and I feel like an idiot. But it's like that all the time. It's like your brain fills in things. Like you think there's a face there when there isn't necessarily one. And horror movies and psychological movies do often rely on that element of the brain to kind of meet the movie halfway. So you're seeing things that aren't necessarily there, and it kind of tricks you into certain mental states. Like The Thing does it as well. There's loads of films out there that have done it throughout history. I think it's very, very clever when you can actually get someone that can do that, that can spook and fool the audience in a certain way, or even make the audience believe that they were seeing something that wasn't there at all, and it was all in their head, and then twists it at the last bit of the story. And
sometimes I've thought of complete other actors in movies,
and
I'm like,
me too.
Where were they?
Yeah. I've thought that, especially when you see them as a little kid, then you see them as an adult, and you go, "Hang on a minute, I completely remember this totally differently to this."
Yeah.
I think people do confuse it as being the Mandela effect, and a lot of the time, it is just the brain's natural ability to fill in the gaps of things that we don't necessarily remember or we can't really see.
It's like I recently saw Salem's Lot again.
Oh yeah,
and I was allowed to see that when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, well, I was about 8.
Yeah, and when I watched it, because I remember all these terrifying things that happened, and when I was rewatching it, I was like, well, that's not so scary,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, where's this other, this vampire that comes out of everywhere, and I'm like, it never even existed.
Mm-hmm.
No, the only horror film I've seen that never changed. never changed. From the first time I watched it to the last time I watched it which was beginning of last year, is The Exorcist.
Right.
That's why I say that's the
great
daddy. That
The
film is the
director's cut.
daddy
I love the
of
director's cut.
horror films. That film is the daddy of horror films. And as I said, the first time I saw it, I thought it unnerved me. I think I was in my teens. No, actually, I was in my 20s when I first saw it. And actually, no, I was in my teens. Anyway, and recently I watched it. It still unnerved me. So that's the only film. Like for instance, I watched Omen. When
I've gone out for the few women that are like that, by the way.
I watched The Omen when Donna died, and the Omen to me is not scary anymore. When I first saw it, I thought it unnerved me slightly, but when I watched it again, I thought it's not scary because it's not scary. But The Exorcist is the only film for me that's been constant throughout the years that it is quite unnerving.
And just like Superman, a lot of those movies were like main events on television where they'd go over 2 nights.
Yeah.
Same with The Omen and The Omen 2. You know, they'd show them over.
I remember that.
Nights.
ITV showed, I think, showed it every Saturday. There was like horror thing every Saturdays. I think it was on ITV, 10 o'clock. So they showed The Omen one Saturday, and then they showed Omen 2 the other, and then they showed Omen 3. So yeah, they used to have these theme things, didn't they? They don't do it anymore, though.
No. They started doing that here. They actually had a sci-fi night. And I was really surprised that they did it because, like, Australia doesn't like science fiction, just doesn't. Yeah. And so, when they started showing the Fu Manchu movies, I was like, "Whoa!" You know, and like the first, like again, where you fill in the gaps. There's like a scene in the first movie where he like drops a bomb on a small country like country town in England, and it actually doesn't destroy everybody. It's just like a gas thing, so it actually kills everybody silently, and they all just drop dead. And there's a scene where there's just a boy on a bike, and he's just there in the middle of the road, and it's only a little kid, you know. And that is like that. That's what the thing. It's a powerful image, you know, in the movie. Yeah. Because, you know, it's like something like out of, you know, Auschwitz or something, you know. Yeah. It's like something horrible has happened when it's got to do with children, you know.
I'll tell you what, right? I'm going to recommend a film. I recommended it on Facebook that I saw recently on Netflix. It's a new film, and it's not woke. It's not woke. It's called Night Books, and it's a kids
did you like
horror
that,
movie.
Did you?
I did. I thought it was a lot.
Right. I watched it because of you. When I saw that little black girl, I was like, shit.
But right. So I thought that was the case because, you know, everything's woke these days, and I thought that little black kid who's female is going to teach that little white guy with the glasses a lesson or two. But it didn't happen. The film is like, it's like, I don't know if you used to watch Goosebumps and Erie, Indiana, and stuff like that. It's that kind of tone that it has to it, but it's really good. It stars the girl who played Jessica Jones. She plays a witch, and it's
who that was.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you a lot about it, but it is a kids' film, and I thought it was damn entertaining. It was damn entertaining. Right. If you have that in your mind, you
put
enjoy
it in your head. Then all right, and you put it.
I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance, Swap Shop, you should watch it.
What was it called again?
It's called Night Books.
It's like when you got me onto Close Encounters, and then I watched it, and I was like,
"You didn't like it."
No, it wasn't that. But you said you made a good point. The fact is that it's not really like everything's done. All the everybody else has done the tropes.
Yeah.
So by the time that I went to go and watch it, you know, it was like 40 years later,
Yeah.
But that's the thing you see.
But I get it. I get it now.
That's the thing you see, Matt. Right? For me, Close Encounters is close to my heart. You know, because it was the very first film that made me want to become a director. So it has a very and also remember when I saw it, it was the height of fantastical films. You know, you had Star Wars that came out in the summer. Close Encounters came out in the autumn in England. You know, and it was the height of looking up at the stars. Big ships, this, that, you know, and it was something new.
There's like one movie that I have watched time and time again, and it wanted me to become an animator.
Yeah, which one was that?
And well, it's actually a little known one. It's called Mad Monster Party, and it's actually influenced a lot of people like Tim Burton, and that's how he came Nightmare Before Christmas and all that. You know, it was made by the same people that made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all this, but they went into a Halloween-y type thing, and it's really good. And so I've watched
Baskin,
time and time again.
Was it called Baskin and something?
Boris Karloff's in it. Boris Karloff's in it.
What's the company called? Because I know that
Rankin and Bass.
That's it. That's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer animation, right? Is a classic, but it also influenced a lot of animators. That film apparently is very. It has a great presence in the history of filmmaking. It's shown in
America apparently. Even now, but they've tried to cancel that as well. You know, same with like something silly. I don't know if you've heard of this one, but there was a Charlie Brown Christmas.
I've seen it.
And they said that the little black character in it, the little black boy character in it, was sitting on the wrong side of the chair, wrong side of the table or something.
Silly, isn't it?
Away from
it
Charlie
really is very
Brown,
silly.
so therefore that's just
it makes no sense, does it? Well, but yeah, but but as I said, right, it's really funny how people just don't get it that you know these films, they touch people's lives, you know, and
they do. They make a huge influence.
Yeah, to muck around with stuff like that, you know, I don't think it's right. I think it's morally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the film that I saw, I remember seeing it like we were on holiday at the time, and we were over in Adelaide, and like I was bored, and we were in a hotel room and that, and I just happened to turn the TV on, and there it was, and I was like totally entranced in it, and I was about halfway through the film, and I didn't know at the time, but I was like, "What is this film? I love this film. What is it?" And so it wasn't until about a year, 2 years later that I just happened to notice that it came out on video, and I was like, "You ripper," you know. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was Mad Monster Party, but it was actually available on Beta.
Well, Beta's
like,
always good.
We have to get this movie. We have to get this movie. She's like, "But we've got a VHS," and I'm like, "I've got to get this movie. I've got to get it." And it's like, she's like, can you order it in? And they're like, "No, we can't order it in. You can't order a VHS copy in." And it's like, well, you know, so I had to wait another year or so before it actually became available to buy. But, you know, and then when I watched it, I was like, yeah, now I know where the scene is that I first saw, you know, the movie. And I was like, oh, you know, this is awesome.
But you know what, right? Swap Shop. Was there a film, just like what Matt was saying, was there a film that you accidentally saw and thought, you know what? That was really good. Is there one? Because I know there's two films that I've seen that if it's on TV, I will just sit there and watch it if I have nothing else better to do. Is there any like that for you?
God, there must have been. Oh my God, there must have been. I think there was a lot when I was younger that I never found out the title of because I'd came in 10 minutes into it. And I just sat down and thought, wow, this is really amazing. I'm really enjoying this. And then it just ends and then you never find out, you know, and it never gets repeated. And sometimes maybe a European cartoon or a cartoon from somewhere. There was actually one I utterly adored when I was little. And I only just found out what it was recently because I was just randomly sitting there one day and it just popped into my head. You know, it was one of those memories just pops back in. Oh, what was that movie? My God. And I got online with the power of Google. I managed to sort of, after about half an hour of searching of combinations of words and things, I actually managed to find out what it was and where it was from and everything. And it was a stop motion animation of models and everything, just a lost art now of a little short movie. I think it might have been just about an hour long or something, but oh my God, it was fantastic. And it was one of those films, one of those obscure little kids movies that get shown at Christmas in the UK, probably in the rest of the world as well. That you kind of just sitting there, you might be opening a present or eating chocolate or something, and the TV might just be on, and suddenly you're like, "Wow, what's this?" You know, and you kind of miss the title and everything, but you're absorbed by what's going on screen, and you're thinking, "Wow, this is completely different. I love the designs. I love this. I love that. I've never seen anything like it." And then you never see it again, ever, and you never see anything like it again either, and it's just buried in down the memory hole. And I found out what it was, and it's called Louie and Luca, and based on like I think a hedgehog and a duck. These two little sort of funny little cartoon characters, and this is all stop motion, all little models and everything, right? A bit Aardman kind of like, but a different style. It's called what was it called again? It's the Great Race of something or other. I've got it on my hard drive here, and I can't remember what it's called. I'll look it up, so I'll get it back to you in a minute. But yeah, it was, and I recommend watching it. Right, you look it up. It's on YouTube. I think the whole movie might be on YouTube. If you can't find it, just tell me. I'll send it to you. But it is just. It's still as an adult watching it back now, and it was just so many fun memories just watching it. Going, oh, I remember this bit. Oh, and this bit. Wow, look, I don't remember that bit. And it was just like a real experience watching it again for the first time in like 30 odd years. And I was thinking, yes, I didn't imagine it. There it is on screen right there. I didn't like make it up in my mind. I did actually do it, and it's kind of it's such a great the fact that it did exist, and you weren't crazy when you see it. But it was
a great stop motion animation, like it was only like a 5-minute thing that I saw once. They just used it as a filler on ABC TV here once, and it was Japanese, and it was actually using Japanese like samurai type characters, and it was to do with two brothers and a mother, and the two brothers go out, and then suddenly they get attacked by a demon. And then they find out that the demon was actually their mother. But it's all done by music. There's no talking or anything like that, And it took me years to track that down, and it's on YouTube and everything. And I'll probably put it in the link to this. But
it's really funny.
I just wanted to mention, when I said about Mad Monster Party.
Yeah.
Well. I actually got to talk to the guy that Rick Goldschmidt, who's he's the official historian for Rankin and Bass, and I said to him, "Oh, are you making a Mad Monster Party book?" And he said, "Yeah, I am." And I was like, "Can I be in it?" So I got my dream come true, and some of my art's in this book. So
excellent.
And that was, to me, that's the highlight to my career sort of thing, It's like, I just feel that like it went full circle, if you get my drift.
Yeah, no, I definitely get your drift. I just said that there are films and there are TV movies and even series that, that's what I don't understand, how people don't realize that these things affect people's lives. They make, even to the point where someone can't live without a TV show, and when it's cancelled, they get very depressed and stuff like that. It's a very powerful thing, isn't it?
I look at Firefly. It's like all those crazies, They call them brown coats and that. And I'm like, it was a shit show. I hated it.
I never saw it, tell you the truth. I saw the movie, though.
You'd probably like it. I don't know, but it was weird. It was just weird. And I never, ever got into it like I did with Buffy and Angel and that. I just didn't find the characters endearing. I didn't find anything, And you get all these people saying it's the best show on television.
It's really weird how he had such a hard time making that. I read the backstory, but I've never seen an episode. I saw the movie, but he was saying that they treated him with disrespect because they put the episodes out of order when they were showing it. You think they would have more respect because he just came off Buffy and it was a huge success. You think they go, right, it's Joss Whedon.
Yeah, but he was too busy trying to get his hand up Charisma Carpenter.
Right, okay. I did not know that.
Well, you've heard all that, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, kind of. But it's really strange, isn't it? Because like another story, as I think Swapshopper really knows this one. Spielberg makes Close Encounters, and it's this huge success, and it saves Columbia Pictures. And then he goes, "I want to make this film called E.T.," and they go, "Nah." Do you know what I mean? How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
How can somebody save your company and they go, "I want to make this film," and you just go, "Nah, sorry, mate." Thank you.
E.T. killed the Thing, didn't it?
They
at the box office.
Sorry, say again.
E.T. killed the Thing at the box
office.
Yes,
it more or less did, because a lot of people were used to Friendly Aliens, and then you had the Thing. And then,
MC.
Yeah, I guess. But that's interesting how people don't think, really, when you think about it. It's really strange.
I just found out the name for that show, by the way. It's called the Pinchcliffe Grand Prix. It's like a tiny little animated movie. And it's like one of the most charming things I've ever seen in my entire life. Such amazing animation, amazing characters, amazing voiceovers. And it's really heartwarming. And I've just sent you a link to a clip of it. But
okay, cool.
I'll WeTransfer you the entire thing, because it's just one of them. And it's great for kids as well, but it's just such a superb bit of animation. I think it was made in Scandinavia. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'll send you the link and stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
there's some weird shit coming from Russia too. If you've ever checked that out too, there's some Russia brothers.
I saw a film recently. It was on Amazon, and it was shot in
Alice
Russia.
in Wonderland.
And it was about these aliens trying to take over the world, and the effects were really brilliant. But I think the dialogue, obviously, because it was translated from Russian to English, was terrible. But the special effects were really amazing in the film. So Russian films, they don't screw about. They basically put a crap load of money in. Yeah.
Surprises me sometimes some of the effects in 60s films, because they're actually, some of it's really good. Like, I don't know how they did it. It looks like it's computer generated or something, and it's not.
Well, the best visual effects people in the world until CGI was introduced was the British people. The British people had created such amazing effects for Disney, for James Bond, for just by using false perspective and model building and stuff. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're absolutely right, Matt, because Derek Meddins, who was in charge of the visual effects for Thunderbirds and all those things, he had to come up with effects via scratch. Do you know what I mean? And some of the effects he did, I don't look. You guys, right? I don't know if you remember Thunderbirds, okay? And you remember the first episode of Thunderbirds was brilliant, where they had to save the plane from landing and the wheel couldn't come out. So I had to save the plane, right? And then I saw the movie and I thought, what is this crap? Couldn't they not have redid the first episode? The first episode
Are you talking about the live action one?
The live action was absolute rubbish. I couldn't believe how bad that was.
Jonathan Frakes too.
It was, yeah. It was so bad. I was just thinking to myself, my God, didn't they not watch the show?
Miles, she was the best casting for that.
I know her. She's lovely. She's a lovely girl.
I know. Oh, well, she follows me on Twitter. But she's
somehow
really
I don't think she's following you. I think you're following her.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think I said something nice, so she followed me back feeling out of sympathy.
Right. She's a lovely girl. She's a lovely girl. Yeah. She really is. Nice girl. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't think Hollywood or, they don't realize, they obviously see it as a business. Of course they see it as business, but films do affect people. They can change people's lives. So you have to respect it. The stuff that if you're a creator, you have to respect.
Do you think about that when you direct a film?
Oh, hello. There's an echo. That's coming from Swap Shop, isn't it?
It is.
Sometimes I think about it, but I think you have to be true to your nature when you're writing. So if you're drawing something or you're writing something, it's part of you, and there's no way of avoiding that, right? So when you draw something, Matt, it's the style of Matt. When I write something, it's the style of Ian. There's no way of avoiding it because it's who you are. You express who you are on the page or whatever. And that's what happens, isn't it? Oh, hello, he's gone.
Yeah,
maybe he'll come back. He's gone.
He's lost his device.
But as I said, I think disrespecting the actual medium itself is completely wrong. I think, as I said, it affects people's lives.
Why do you? Can I ask you a question? Why do you think that Rian Johnson did what he did to The Last Jedi? Like, why do you think he made the decisions he made? Was it out of malice? Was it out of fuck you, I'll do whatever I want? Why do you, as a director, what do you think his thought process was? I know you're all different, but
well, I honestly think that because they were saying that I think this was the first draft they shot. They shot the first draft or the second draft, and it's obvious that the film needed developing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like Kevin Smith, if you're not getting any work and you need work, basically they suck up to anything to get to work, And I believe that Rian Johnson, he's a competent director. but he wanted to get in there with the crowd, wasn't he? So he got in there by writing exactly what they wanted to see, woman power and all that stuff, and that's what he did. But I don't understand why he was so horrible to the main characters. If he was a fan of Star Wars, you would not do that to Luke.
Well, it's the same thing as with Chibnall. You know, it's like, well, if you love Doctor Who so much, why are you dismantling it so badly? You know?
Well, maybe. So this is another theory. Maybe the people at the top ordered Chibnall to have these things in the show, and also to retcon the Doctor. Same thing with Rian Johnson. Maybe he's, because you sign contracts, don't you? You're not allowed to talk about things, stuff like. Maybe they said to him, "Look, we want this script to be woman power. We don't want any of the old cast having any kind of heroic rise in this thing. We want to promote the new stars of Star Wars," and that's your brief. Maybe they said that to him.
I don't think anyone sets out to make a bad movie, except probably a Uwe Boll. But you know, and he'll fight you for that if you say. But you know, I just try to figure it out, because you've got all these other people saying that, you know, oh, he hates us and all this sort of thing, and it's like, but there's two sides to every story, you know. And I'm not giving him anything, because I think it was a shit film and I hated it, and I'll never ever watch it again, you know. But that said, you know, I mean, that was the first Star Wars movie I'd never seen in the cinema, because I'd just heard so much flack about it.
But, you know, if you go back in time about Star Wars and you go to Galaxy, what was it called, Galaxy Edge, and you look at that memo that's been leaked about Kathleen Kennedy saying that she didn't want any of the old Star Wars to be featured within that theme park. She wanted the new Star Wars people to be featured in that theme park. So it kind of set the tone. Yeah, it set the tone. So that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy wanted to happen to Star Wars. And
they wanted a new generation, didn't they? They wanted a new generation that they could control solely.
But not only that, they wanted to destroy what we deemed as important about Star Wars because of feminine agenda thing. So imagine you're Rian Johnson, you come up to me and I'm Kathleen Kennedy, and you're like, right, can I direct a Star Wars film? Yes, of course you can. But here are the provisos. This has to be in your script. Then you write a first draft and you go, okay, so what do you think? And I look at it and I think, yeah, it's got all the provisos. Let's go. You know, and then they went and shot and not even questioning how bad the script was. And I think maybe that's what happened. But I also think, how could Rian Johnson be so stupid? He knows that Star Wars is a beloved franchise. How can you actually allow the one hero of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, to be this horrible, crutchy, old, stupid, you know, and not even heroic at the ending because he wasn't even there?
I think,
you know, that kind of
he's
thing.
not really a fan. He might have said he was, but a lot of people say that, don't they? Michael Bay said he was a fan of Transformers, for God's sake, and no, I'm sorry, mate, but no.
So Steven Spielberg did too.
Oh God, don't get me started. But yeah, I don't think Rian Johnson was ever a fan. I think he chose the gig just to get a leg up in the industry, and he did. It helped him, you know. He did Knives Out and whatever afterwards. That's the only reason why he did it. It's why Leslie Headland's doing what she's doing. They don't care about the property at all. They just see it as a platform. They get to preach their ideologies and then get to launch themselves further into other areas. That's their motivation.
To not even read the first movie's script, and just to do your own thing, knowing that there's a third movie and you won't have anything to do with it is insane.
Bad management.
I think, Kathleen Kennedy signed off on it. Obviously, she thought it was a good idea.
Oh, she's terrible. No, she sucks.
The thing is, I think she might, and I'm not saying this to be insulting. I genuinely mean it. I think she may have a few marbles loose, rattling around.
Yeah, I agree.
Genuinely think that. I think that I was watching Echo
Disney, I still want a job with you.
Week. Yeah, I was watching Echo Base TV earlier on this week, the Echo Base Network's new channel. There was a couple of people having a little discussion on there about it, and they were talking genuinely about how they think she's got either senility or some kind of Alzheimer's. and they were just saying she needs to be removed because she doesn't know what she's doing. It's like Biden running America and not having a clue about what he's doing. He's just a complete puppet.
But see, I mean, having to deal with dementia and that as well. I mean, I can't really see. To me, he makes a lot of mistakes, but it's probably his age more than dementia. You get a certain age, you forget things, and it's not to do with dementia or Alzheimer's or anything. It's just old age.
Yeah, and I don't think she's quite that old yet, but I know what you mean exactly. Yeah,
no, but even Biden,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So the thing about Kennedy though is that there's something there with that issue anyway, with a mental competence issue that's preventing her from steering the boat correctly. And it's going to take someone like Favreau and Filoni to to actually take hold of the reins and steer it properly, which might be what's going on behind the scenes at the moment. There might be sort of like a soft removal of her from control, and other people are actually running it. And she's kind of just there as a promotional aspect maybe. And they'll just slowly fade her out after she's done the new Indiana Jones movie.
But the thing is, though, do you guys think that Star Wars is absolutely wrecked now? And can you go back to it?
Yeah,
I can't go back to it.
No. If I see anything now, when I should be excited about it, like the Star Wars Visions and whatever else, a new game or whatever, I look at it now and I just go, no, it's just fake. All of it's fake. It's just the Star Wars label and a load of other crap sold under that label. It's like Star Trek, with that Star Trek Prodigy. It's not Star Trek, is it, at all?
I can answer that. Star Wars is wrecked. I don't think there's any way of going in or around it. They're trying to not even retcon it. They're just putting stuff in between it to make people happy now.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff like Doctor Who's fucked. Unless I think I'm not going to watch it.
That's the BBC, though, isn't it? That's the BBC for you.
And I'm not. It's they haven't really cared about the franchise of Star Trek. Star Trek, they went off into some fucking tangent, alternate universe and shit like that. And, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
No, I can't look at Star Wars anymore and think, yes, this is Star Wars. You used to look at it and you kind of used to see George's stamp on it, and you used to think, yeah, this is.
I'm going to be controversial here and say that they should never have brought back Boba Fett. I couldn't care less about that character. And to me, he should have stayed dead. That to me is like Disney, bringing up the dead now,
It just goes to show, doesn't it, that they can't make anything new. They have to keep using the stuff that worked when Lucas was there.
Because they tried the new stuff and it didn't work either. No. The Ray and
what's
and all
interesting?
That,
On the Disney Channel, they've got the Orville. Season 1 and 2 they got on the Disney Channel, which is interesting, don't you think? I find that very, very fascinating how they've got the Orville on the Disney Channel. I find it strange because obviously the Orville's going against everything that Disney's trying to fight for.
Yeah, I think it was under a different company, and then Disney bought them. Is that right? So now they've got them on Disney Plus.
You're right.
But they obviously, Disney don't care. They don't make anything of their own anymore. They just appropriate other franchises and other properties and sell them off under the Disney banner. And when they do try to create something, it's absolute garbage.
What happened to Disney? I used to love Disney when I was a kid. I used to think it was magical.
Yeah, they used to be innovative. They really used to have their heads screwed on and know what they were doing. They used to really be great creators. And even though they did reuse other stories, they retold them in really great ways with amazing animation. Unfortunately, I think they lost a lot of the animators that made those films great.
They made some great television too.
They did.
I used to be a big fan of the Mouse Factory. I don't know if you ever remember that one.
Yes, I remember it.
But the animation and that they used to have, the shorts and everything, totally and utterly impolitically correct now. But I actually got them, and they were under a Disney Treasures DVD thing that they called it. But it's like, if you don't get it now, you'll never ever get it and see it again. It's like, Song of the South. I remember seeing that at the cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like in the mid 80s or whatever. And I honestly, I never even thought for 1 second it was racist.
No, me neither.
I don't know about you guys, but it never ever tweaked with me that they were on a plantation or anything like that, No.
Zippity doo dah.
I think they were just referring to the.
We used to have fun with that
time,
song, Zippity doo dah.
Yeah. I love those characters in that.
Be
I
a
was
bit
only thinking
rude
of
with
Song of
it,
the
you
South
know.
last week. Those characters were great. They were really endearing, really fun characters. And now it's just all seen as racist and they can't show it anymore. And it's just sad. It's really sad that Disney's abandoned what they were. It really is.
True.
Yeah.
Disney's not Disney anymore, unfortunately. No. I said, for me, when I was a kid, it was magical. I always wanted to go to Disneyland, and see Mickey and Mouse and
Did
stuff.
you ever get there?
Nope, never.
I remember when I went to Disneyland, it was like a dream. It was. And I mean, I went there on my own the first time around.
Which one was it you went to?
Oh, it was Disneyland. It was.
What,
and
in
it was
the States?
Yeah, in California.
Okay, yeah.
And that was something that I'd had my heart set on for since I was a little kid. Was like, I'm going to Disneyland. As soon as I get a job, I'm going to make enough money and I'm going to go to Disneyland. And I don't care if I spend all my money, which I did. But and it was only for 7 days. But next time I went, I was there for a month. So I spent a week at Disneyland, and but it was the fact that and it had actually grown within like 12 years I'd been there. So it was every time you go there is always something new, whatever like that. But now I'm not really interested in Disneyland anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's put a bad taste in my mouth, Disney. It just as I said, right, Walt Disney was a man that was obsessed with entertainment. He wanted kids to love his characters. He wanted to, he was responsible for Disneyland, the actual place itself, and Epcot and stuff like that. And it seems, he died, and it seems like these people were still in the same road as him, wanting the same thing. And then suddenly it's become this. It's become this monster that all it thinks about is money.
When I spent time in the States, I was spending time with people who had been dumped by Disney, and they had made them millions upon millions of dollars, not only in the movies, but in merchandise as well, because they had created characters that were endearing and gonna, stand the test of time, sort of thing. So, and I still see their stuff printed on soft toys, all that sort of thing as well. And they've made them a fortune, and look how they treated them.
Yeah. It's really funny because
that's what created the hashtag, wasn't it? Disney must pay, because they weren't they're workers that actually did make these things so great in the first place, and novelists and people that's created certain characters, and they just completely forgot them. They were using their creation, completely forgetting the creator.
Have you ever heard of It's a Small World?
Yeah.
When I went there, it was closed. Do you know why it was closed?
No.
Because they were remodeling the boats, because all the fat people in the boats were actually causing the boats to stay still. So they
oh my God.
Floating. So they had to make it deeper,
right,
for the boats to float.
Oh, so the boats were grounding on the bottom, so there wasn't enough water, right?
Yeah, they couldn't move them.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's the thing that they think about. They just think about money, getting more people in seats. It's not like, oh, maybe we shouldn't sell, big horrible juicy hamburgers and all this sort of
right
shit,
He just reminded me, actually, there was a guy, there was an amazing American animator a few weeks back that created a really good sort of spoof parody version, a CGI animation of It's a Small World, called It's a Woke World. You see that?
Have you seen that, Ian?
No. Anybody get a link?
Oh, you've got to see it, Ian.
Yeah, I'll send you a link, mate. I'll get it. Yeah, it's very, very well done. Very well done. Incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart, great political commentary, and satire on.
Look at what they're doing now with cancelling, Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah. Oh, no. What's that all about? Seriously.
Have you seen that?
No.
They're going to cover her up.
The whole point. Oh, come on. The whole point of Jessica Rabbit is that she's a sex machine. She's just this dream cartoon beautiful woman that obviously Roger fell for, and they both love each other, I guess. And that's the whole point of she says that line, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, and that's the whole point of her. To it's like taking, I don't know, a lightsaber away from Darth Vader and Luke. It makes no sense to take away the sexuality of Jessica Rabbit.
This is it.
Why would you do that?
they're remodeling the Roger Rabbit ride now to reflect that Jessica Rabbit's, gonna have to
Crazy.
get changed.
Yeah, she's suddenly become problematic because of her
Yeah.
curves and her femininity. Because you can't have femininity
Everything's
anymore,
problematic.
even though it's only a pastiche. It's only a caricature. You just can't have that anymore
But
at all.
Well, it
You
was
know,
based
but
on
sir,
Mae West, wasn't it, or something?
I
Yeah.
don't understand this, Matt and Swap Shop. I don't understand this, right? You have thousands, even millions of girls on TikTok, right? Showing how beautiful they are, walking down the road, shaking their boobs. I'm telling you, I was on TikTok once, right? And it's very addictive. And I was flicking. I was like, oh, another good looking girl. Oh, another good looking girl. And then you look on Instagram and there's all these girls basically showing their sexuality of how beautiful they are, how big their boobs are and this, that, how big their bum is, blah, 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 blah. So there are millions, maybe even more so in the world that is using that to make money.
Yeah.
How can these small people in Hollywood think that being a sexually attractive woman is wrong? Why are they trying to stamp that out when you have, why isn't those millions of girls not standing up against this crap? Maybe they don't even know it's happening. Who knows?
They're oblivious.
Well, I'm not seeing ugly women in Hollywood. I'm not.
Well, this
No,
is
nor
what
am I.
built
I'm
on to
not
begin with,
seeing
wasn't it?
women being reflected. I'm not seeing these women that look like, I don't know if you've seen Starfire's daughter recently, but I'm not seeing that reflected in actual mainstream, in like the film media and that.
People don't want to see it ultimately.
No, exactly.
They're trying to make people gravitate towards that and find that more appealing than what we naturally find appealing. And it's never going to happen. They're wasting their breath, they're wasting their energy, time, money, resources, whatever, talent of artists. It's just all being wasted, all to try and push something that people are never going to buy into.
But Swap Shop, that's not their aim. Swap Shop, that's not their aim. Their aim is to attack the young kids. And as I said on another stream, I think it was Brown stream when you were on it, right? I hear my little nieces, which breaks my heart, talking about this crap. And now my little niece thinks that she likes girls. And that's their that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to influence the young so that more of this generation grow up and take control. Because let's face it, right? How they got into power was that generation that they got into power, and now they're shoveling this stuff, and now they want to influence the young to keep that kind of thought in power. So they don't care about millions of people on Instagram. They don't care about what we think about women in films and stuff like that. That's their main goal, right? And and I tell you one thing, right? Seriously, this is a serious problem. A lot of people like Gary and as they talk about this and that, the other, but they don't realize, right? This is insidious. This thing is they want to change the world with this kind of crappy thinking.
Yeah, it's indoctrination by pop culture, isn't it? It's indoctrination.
That's what it is. Burning books and all that. And it's terrifying.
These are super popular. They're using them as a platform because they know they're going to reach people. They don't care about what they are. They just know they've got a massive audience, and it's an opportunity for them to reach people and brainwash, gaslight, etc., or whatever, and destroy what was there before. Yeah. And that's the only reason. And George Lucas giving up Star Wars is a good example, because now it allows these people to just jump in and the woke plague to infect it. Whereas Lucas was a gatekeeper; he prevented all this shit from happening before because it was an independent production. And now it's just become one of all the other IPs out there that's just being torn apart by this plague and used as indoctrination and propaganda for to brainwash people.
And also, I was listening to the news this morning on the radio, boys, and there was this news bulletin, and then one of the news reports was how women are being treated in the workplace. And one person said, and I kid you not, said, this problem is as big as the terrorist problem. Would you believe that?
Jesus.
Well, I can't really talk about what I do for a living, but I do know that I've been told that women are always right. In the right, you are not to argue with them.
Leave all women.
You are not to be aggressive towards them. They can be aggressive to you at any time.
Yeah.
You are not to swear at them or anything like that, even though they can swear at you. And so we are being there's talk of us having to do a course on on how to treat women in the workplace.
Absolute bollocks. It's
God.
absolute bollocks. I was watching a show, right?
This
On a
is the
show.
way it is now, Ian.
All right, I was watching a show on a show, and this guy was talking about Bachelorette. There was a show on TV called Bachelorette, where basically there was this one woman, and she has to choose between all these fit men who to marry. Right, so like a thingy show, a reality show. Anyway,
Yeah,
so she gets these boys to dance around, I think in their underwear, whatever. And one of the guys says to her, right, what you made us do was wrong. You know, it was very sexist. She starts crying. How dare you? And she runs off and she starts crying. This is an American show, by the way. Yep. Right. And guess what? All the men berated this guy. And the guy was like, wait a sec. He was trying to explain to him, wait a sec. You're berating me, yet you do not know what she said to me. You've passed judgment on me without learning exactly what happened. How is this right? Obviously, he got kicked off it. But that's what I'm saying.
They just want a bit of poo-tang. Come on.
No, but this is what I'm saying, right? This is where we're going with this stuff. It's crazy.
Double standards, and we're allowing it to happen. You know, just giving up our masculinity, and it's complete double standards. Like men are just being completely demeaned now.
No, we're not. We don't have the power to stop it. Right, because as I said, in school this stuff is being taught, right? Which I think it's wrong.
Indoctrination, mate.
And we don't have the power to stop it. They have the power to put it all in the media and in kids' computer games and films and stuff like that. So the new generation growing up is going to think, you know, the new female is going to think they're unstoppable. Once they, you know, they're going to see all these little 5-foot women beating up men, and they're going to. Some men's going to tell them something, and they're going to think they're going to beat them up, and they're going to have a, you know, they're going to get crushed.
The issue
isn't it, with military recruitment videos?
Yeah. What's that?
The issue I found, because I've lived in such a sorry, Damon, you go.
Sorry, mate. I'll get back to you. I'll get back. You go.
No, you go.
I was just going to say quickly.
Mine's pretty controversial, so you go.
I was just going to say quickly. It just reminded me of military recruitment videos, like in China. The one in China, you know, it's very sort of brutal and quite extreme about what they're trying to get people to do once they sign up to the military. Well, they don't sign up; they're kind of conscripted over there. But you know, it's like this is our military propaganda. This is what our military does. This is the might of our military. This is what we do. No one can stand against us. We're so powerful. We've got this many tanks, this many soldiers, etc. And that's their kind of their advert for it. In the States, what do we get? Some little girl wearing rainbows, painting and drawing, saying, "Oh, this is my truth, and I identify as this kind of woman, and the military respects me because I might have other tendencies rather than just firing a gun. I might want to have, you know, a break midday to do a nice little painting and put my hair in bunches and hang out with my girly friends." You know, that's their military recruitment program in the States. It's ridiculous.
But did you listen to what you said just now? This is my truth. This is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
You can't make something that you made up in your head a reality in the world. If you can't say that you're if or a they, whatever, when you were born either a male or a female. Yeah. This is a fact. Yeah. And this is what they're trying to teach our young generation, that your truth. Reality. Yeah, your reality is a reality, which is bollocks.
Now that you bring that up, there was a guy recently. Well, a guy. There was a person who believed themselves to be a woman, and they were simulating in their 36th week of pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
Oh. And they were so excited, you know, only 4 weeks to go, you know, and I was like, it ain't gonna fucking happen. Yeah. And it's like, you know, why fucking, you know, why are people mentally, we've let all these people with mental disabilities and everything like that out in the community, and now they're running the community.
I know.
Lunatics have taken over the asylum, mate, as they say.
They have.
Yeah.
And it's no joke. It really is no joke. And as I said, when you have shows on, as I said, God bless him, Gary, and as they're only scratching the surface. Yeah, I think they do realize that this is insidious, and this is what, you know, this is what this generation is trying to do. But nobody has an answer. Nobody knows how to stop them. I mean, the answer that Gary says, or other saying that we should keep up this and we should tell everybody and we should speak our mind and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be enough.
They
It's
will
not
have
gonna be
their
enough.
time, though. You know, they will have their time.
They will.
It may take 10, it may take 20 years, but they're going to have their time. People are going to wake up and go, this is fucking wrong.
Yeah, eventually. It might take a while, but eventually it will happen.
What the hell have we done, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, mate.
It's crazy. But it's just the fact that it's gone through entertainment.
No, but you just mentioning your work, Matt. That's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. That's pure racism.
Entertainment was my thing, you know. Like I said, you know, I've seen a guy have to he got a woman told this bloke to suck it up because she got him into a lot of trouble and it wasn't him.
Jesus.
And so when he faced her and he said, you know damn well it wasn't me, and she just said, well, suck it up, you know. And the first thing, you know, and he said, you know, get fucked, you fucking bitch, you know, that sort of thing. I'm paraphrasing here, by the way. But you know, and it's the fact that he was the one that got pulled over the coals, and he got the one that he got told that he was going to lose his job unless he had to sit through one of those meetings of, you know, like, exactly. Yeah.
Matt, did you hear about the guy? Right, he was part of this. He was at college, a black guy. He was at college, and he was a up and coming football player, and a lot of people were interested in him. And then this one girl said that he raped her. Right, he went through the courts, and he spent 6 years in jail. And then after 6 years, she came out and said it wasn't true.
Yeah.
This girl destroyed this guy's life.
No reparations for that.
They have this picture of the black guy when he was told that he was free, and he was on the desk, and his hand was in his. He was just leaning on the desk, crying his eyes out.
Yeah,
you know, this guy suffered 6 years in jail for something he didn't do.
For a lot.
Yet they took the woman's side.
You have the complete opposite, where, like literally yesterday. A guy here in Australia who was the leader of a gang rape cult sort of thing, raped a woman, has never ever said, I'm sorry. He said that she deserved it multiple times.
Oh, that's not
this is
good.
like, it's been on for like 20 years. He's now on parole.
Right.
And they've just told him to behave himself.
Oh.
Yeah,
so you have people like that. But the thing is, though, Ian, as well, there used to be this thing called the death penalty. And there used to be this thing where, like in the UK, where if you got drunk and you were in disorderly or whatever, you were hung.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a kid and you pinched a loaf of bread, you were either sent here or you were hung, you know?
Do you know what? So, just going off the subject slightly, guys, my sister used to work for the Old Bailey. And she one day said, come and see, because she used to wear the wig and everything, and she used to type, you know, during a court case. Yeah. So she said to me, come to one of the court cases and see what I do. So I came, and it was boring. But then she said, go with this lady and she'll show you a tour of the Old Bailey, right? And I don't know if you know, the Old Bailey is the place where they used to hang people and stuff like that in the courts, or whatever. Anyway, they took us down to the basement, and there's this place called the Death Walk. Okay, I think it's called the Death Walk. And what it is, right, is a corridor that leads down to where the noose is, where they get hanged.
Mm-hmm.
And so the corridor starts off wider, and as you walk down, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner till you get to the point where your shoulders are rubbing up against the wall.
Wow.
And then they hang you because there's no way to escape. Right. Mm-hmm. But when I was in there, I swear to you, it felt like there were ghosts there.
Yeah.
I can't describe the presence of what I felt in there. And it wasn't only me, it was the people that was being, you know, it was a tour. And immediately when we went in that area, everyone was not feeling too good. Everybody was like, you know, can we get out of here now? Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I thought I'd throw that in because that was just weird.
That's all right. Me. No, that's good because there's actually a scene in a movie called what's it called? 31 Rillington Place or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and it's got John Hurt in it. and he's
Yes.
sent to the noose, and
Yeah.
he's going, "I didn't do it. I didn't
Yeah.
do it. I didn't do it." And they put the noose straight over him, and he's like, "I didn't do it. I didn't." Boom, straight down.
Yeah.
And that scene is still seared in my brain. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's just there's no recourse.
But the
the
point
thing
I was
is,
trying to,
though, like
yeah.
there has to be a definitive.
Well,
they did it. You know.
I you know what, right?
Yes,
It's
10
very,
million
it's more,
templates, thank you.
yeah, it's
Very
very
good movie.
complicated. I don't believe they should have the death sentence, obviously, but it's very complicated. They were saying that, and now they want to keep people in jail because it's a money spinner. I remember seeing a documentary on the American system, and they were keeping people in there because they were getting more money to keep people in there, and they're overcrowded and stuff like that. Obviously, this is the documentary that was, I think it was on Discovery Channel. And obviously, the jail, I don't know, the organization denies it, but they had evidence that they were keeping someone in there well before his time, and he was so old, but they were claiming the money from the government for him. Do you know what I mean? So it's a complicated situation. The whole of that thing about corporal punishment has become corrupt now, and even more so in America than any place else. It's crazy, right? I don't trust the government. I don't vote for anyone because I think it's pointless voting for people now because they're all corrupt. You can't tell me that Mr. Johnson sitting there who needs his hair combed. You can't tell me that this man is an honest man ruling, wants the best for us. He doesn't want the best for us. It's so obvious this is what's going on now.
But I can't tell you how to run your country, though. Only you can. And the thing is, for a lot of people here in Australia too, we're happy with the way things have gone. There are some couple of states here that aren't happy. But I mean, for the last year, we've not had any COVID cases in whatsoever, and we couldn't be happier, But when you got all these other ones saying that we're like friggin' bloody Nazi Germany and all that crap. and it's like, well, no, we're not fucking Auschwitz. It's just like people just have to just do what they're told for the current time, and then that's it. But I'm not going to go and tell them, tell people how they can live. I will say how I want to friggin' live, but I'm not going to tell other people how they should live. Never.
I think the government should be there to support people that are
so you should vote Mr. Boris out if you're not happy with him.
Well, the thing is, though, it's not as simple as that, right? Because if you vote Boris out, some idiot would come and do the same thing.
Exactly.
Do you know what, right? It's so blatantly obvious that these people are corrupt in small ways and in big ways, right? And so how can, in all consciousness, how can you vote to keep that system alive? That's exactly
something as simple as who was that? Not Major. Who was the one after Major?
Blair.
Blair.
Yeah.
Blair. His wife was extremely corrupt. She was all in her pockets and everything. You could tell that, and because she was getting involved with con men and all this sort of thing, And we were watching it from the. You didn't know she was.
No,
she was getting onto Australian con men and all that sort of thing, to get onto these dodgy deals and that. They're all corrupt, all of them, their families, everything. They're all in it.
No, but listen to this logic, right, Swap Shop, okay, right? So we're working class, right? We struggle, we work, some people have 2 jobs in America. Some people, have a one-parent situation where they go to Tesco's and they work all day, collect their kids from school, deal with their kids over the weekend, and it starts all over again, right? How can people like us, who are the backbone of the country, trust someone that was born with a trust fund? That was basically told that they were going to go into politics and basically told that, you're not going to have to worry. Basically, if you get fired, don't worry, there's another job waiting for you. This circle of wealthy people.
It's the same with presidents, though, too, Ian. All presidents are wealthy. All presidents are wealthy. They've never come from a poor background. None of them.
But I don't understand, right? So just bearing that in mind, okay, my cousin who lives in Oregon, I don't understand her loyalty to the government out there. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be loyal to the government. I'm not saying you shouldn't love your country. Of course you should, right? But how can you not see that you're keeping a corrupt business organization running your life that really don't really care about you?
No.
How can, if you cannot see that, then in other words, I don't have any answers. I don't know what's going to be. If somebody said to me, well, what are you going to do? I'll say, no, I don't know what I'm going to do, because it's not my job to do that. But I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that can change the system. But you know what I mean? So for all consciousness, I can't vote for anyone in my country because I know it's corrupt. I'll just be adding more fuel to the fire. So what is the point?
I can't tell my country not to go in lockdown, and I can't tell it to get out, to get out of lockdown. That's out of my hands. I'm just a I mean,
everybody has a laugh about Boris, and everybody has a laugh about Biden and stuff like that. Yeah, he's so old, he falls down a step, and and Boris is. You see the video, Swap Shop? Did you see the video of Boris trying to open the umbrella? Have you seen that one?
Yes.
No.
That's so funny. How incompetent is that man? He's crazy. Oh, and this guy's running our country.
Poppins, that's for sure.
If you can find that video, it's absolutely hilarious. He tries to.
Australia just got into an agreement with the UK and Australia and America, and to buy submarines. Right.
Oh God.
And the Biden couldn't even remember the name of the Australian Prime Minister, so he just called him that guy from down under.
Oh no, that's terrible, isn't it? That's terrible.
And it's like, that's headlining news. I got Scott Morrison's name. The Prime Minister of Australia.
But I'm just saying,
I forget his name sometimes too.
I think it's crazy for people now to vote. And I think it's crazy that people cannot see what's going on with the pop culture thing, with the governments, with the COVID lockdown. I bet you any money, right? This doesn't apply to you, Matt, but it applies to me in Swap Shop. I bet you any money they're going to turn around and going to say, right, families can't spend time at Christmas time because of COVID. If they say that, I'm just going to scream, because I don't know, I just get the impression that they don't like religion now. I think religion's problematic, so they're trying to stop it, because Christmas is obviously associated with Jesus and stuff. So
it's not bad,
I don't know.
Really,
I don't know.
The Catholic Church really burnt itself.
Yeah,
it really burnt itself with the priests, and unfortunately, there's no recovering from that.
No, there isn't.
Hey, I'll tell you something. I wanted to become a priest.
You come a priest?
Yeah, me.
Never.
Yeah, me. Tell me all your sins, Ian.
Have you got a year?
No, I'll tell you what. It was the thing. It was like, oh no, does that mean I've got to get cleansed of my sins? No, probably not a good idea. But no, I mean, I grew up at a Catholic school, primary school, and a higher school. I went to an all boys school, unfortunately, and so but they didn't make me gay, thank God. But unfortunately, I saw a darker side. From the brothers and that there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with them, It seemed like a really good club for a while, but then you're like, no, hang on, no. And you can't have sex? Oh, no, that's not good either.
Do you know what? Seriously, I remember when I first went to Clapham College, right? And the first teacher I had was a guy named.
I imagine you in Grange Hill.
I was. It was kind of a Grange Hill school. And the first teacher we had is a guy named Mr. Kulagowski. That was his name. And he was quite a good. He looked like Starsky from Starsky and Hutch, because he had this curly hair and stuff. And he was quite a good looking chap. And he was very effeminate. Right. And this is a Catholic school. So we had him the first year. And then when Christmas came and went back to school, he was suddenly gone. And so we were like, what happened to Mr. Kulagowski? And then suddenly we had this other teacher who was a right arsehole. But anyway, we found out later on that he got fired because they found out he was gay.
Yep.
So even in the 70s, they were against that kind of thing.
They did a news story in the 70s about a gay couple, and one of them was a teacher.
Yeah,
and he didn't have a job the next week.
I know it's, you know what, right? Seriously, everything that's going on, I have no problem with people if they want to call themselves they, them, or you know,
I have
seriously.
no problems if they like
And
men,
I have,
but I
yeah,
don't.
no, I don't have any problem with any of that stuff. I don't have any problem with gay people. You know,
No,
it's good that they come out. It's
I
good that
don't
they deal with
care. I
their
don't
inner.
care. I don't need it to be told every fucking
All
day
right.
that someone's
Well,
gay.
it's good that they deal with their inner struggles and they're allowed to come out without any embarrassment or fear or anything like that. And I'm all for that. But what I'm not all for is trying to this stupid reality, trying to persuade everyone now, especially the young, about it. That's I think people should be given the choice, but they're not being given the choice. What they're doing is
No.
being brainwashed.
Yep.
And it's
They're being
insidious, as
preached
I
to,
said, and it's
and
horrible.
they're being learned to go in that direction.
Well, let's get off this. Let's go back to Star Wars.
Oh, yes, Star Wars. Well, that's the problem. We started with Star Wars, and then it all went all gay, didn't it? With the
that's not good.
that final film. Oh my god, that was Beak Woman, wasn't that? Isn't that her name, Beak Woman?
Beak Woman.
She's English, anyway. Yeah, the one that kissed the other woman, the Beak Woman, they call her.
Oh, the ending,
didn't they? Yeah,
yeah, the ending.
Yeah.
That in the Japanese version, they cut it out, didn't they?
Chinese version, yeah.
Chinese
version.
Chinese. I'm sorry, I get mixed. Sorry, I'm sorry.
They also put out John Boyega as well.
They did, yeah, they did.
Cut him out as well. That's the thing. It's like, you know, they're hypocrites, is what they are.
How can they've got it so wrong though? You'd think that after the second one and the huge outcry of people saying how bad the second one was, how could they've got this one so wrong? I know there was no way to go right with this film because of what Rian Johnson did, but if you think about it, there were plenty of places to go. Really, you could have created a Swap Shop a better story than what they came up with. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think many people could have, yeah. I mean, just, you know, you could just be sitting in the pub with your mate writing on the back of a beer mat. You can come up with something better, to be honest with you, in 10 minutes.
How do you fundamentally fuck it up to the point where you've like gone, okay, this is what made it great. Let's just trash all that and put in what we think is great. And so it doesn't work. And the thing is, though, they can't backtrack on it now because it's out there.
But Matt, what they wanted to do was keep the same agenda in there, but also try and correct it, which was an impossible task, right? So one has to give, right? So if I was in charge, I would have said, let's chuck the agenda and give the audience what they want. So the first thing I would do is bring Luke Skywalker back, and Luke Skywalker trains. Now the training begins with Rey. Now it begins. Now the real story begins. That's what I would have done. That's the first thing I would have done, right? They killed him off in the last one. What I do is I bring him back as a Force ghost, and the Force ghost teaches Rey how to be a proper Jedi. That's the first thing I do. That would satisfy the fans because they felt done by the Luke Skywalker character. Bring him back, make him an ass-kicking Force ghost, right? That's what I would do. Take out this, you know, what is it? FaceTime ghost. What is it? FaceTime Force thing, which was absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do. Definitely do that. I don't know what you would do, man.
Oh God, it'd take me too long to tell you what I would do. I sat down one day because I was so frustrated. I got out a notebook and I just wrote down everything that they should have done.
Yeah.
In note form from the first episode 7 movie of that trilogy, where they could have gone and things they could have done. Because I was sick of people telling me, if you're so critical of what they did, why couldn't let's see you do better? I'm like, what? Anyone could do better. Well, prove it. and it just it made me fume, and it stewed in me for like days. And I just went, right, I've got to get this down on paper because my brain kept coming up with ideas, and I just thought, man, that's way better. This is way better. Why couldn't they do it? And then the ideas started linking together, and I was like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. No one had seen that coming. Oh my God, how come they didn't think of this? And all these bridges and links and interwoven plot points started happening. And I thought, I've got to get this down, and I filled up a notebook with all these notes, filled it in just a couple of days. And I sat down and I looked back at all the pages and I thought, man, you could make a really good film or 2 films from this, and it would work. And it would, satisfy pretty much everybody. It wouldn't alienate anybody. And then I thought, I've got to actually do something with this. I can't just put this in a drawer and forget about it. while the iron is still hot, if you like, I've got to try and write this down and make sense of it in some kind of story. And then I just couldn't stop myself. My hand started writing, and I've been doing it ever since, But it's so hard to put that, what I just said, encompass that into a few sentences like you did. But
it was the same with the prequels. When the first set of movies, I mean, I loved those first set of movies. Even Return of the Jedi, I just loved,
Yeah.
And so, but I'd set in my head how the prequels actually went, and for some reason, Darth Vader was originally blue. And he had a blue face and all this. And then that we got what we got. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I think I should have liked that, but I didn't, And so, but that's one thing now. I appreciate the prequels now. I think they're a lot better than the bloody later ones.
Disney version. But you know what I would have done? I would have brought Luke Skywalker back. Luke Skywalker trains Rey, and I would have got Rey. Rey would have been defeated badly by Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren would have been the big bad in this version, in my opinion, really bad. In fact, he'd put
he held a friggin' bloody laser blast.
Yeah.
How many times, even Darth Vader couldn't do that.
But I would have made Kylo Ren really give her a really good beating and literally put a lightsaber through her, and they save her basically. I would have done that. No, for the third one, I would have done that, and then like I used the Rocky analogy, right? So Rocky gets beaten by Clubber Lang, the third one, of course, and then he has to rise to the top to beat him at the ending. So that's what I would do, because that's basically what audience love. They love the hero falling and then getting up and then and then winning at the end. I would try to make the whole story very, very simple. So the rebels are still fighting against, I can't remember, what are they called, the Fifth Element, or what were they called in this one? I can't remember what they called. Swap Shop.
Which film are you talking about now?
The third, the actual Disney Star Wars. What are the baddies called?
The Fall of Skywalker. The baddies are the First Order.
The First Order, yeah. So I would still have the rebels against the First Order, but I would concentrate more on the fall of Rey, and Rey beginning to learn about the Force even more. And then a climatic ending would be her versus what's his face,
Kylo Ren.
And Kylo Ren, and she would definitely win, and and stuff like that. And I would have the rebels versus them, and it'd be a dovetail story between them both, and that would give the audience what they want. They'll give Luke Skywalker back. I mean, maybe even have Luke Skywalker intervene in certain places and stuff like that. Princess Leia would definitely get, because she died halfway through, so figure out a way how she could die properly rather than just dying of the Force, which was stupid, and just go that way. I think that would satisfy people more than what they did. It was just a big waste of my time when I saw that film. They tried so hard to make Rey the person that was in front. Rey was she was the main person throughout the whole.
I didn't see that from the first film. I didn't see that from the first film. I just thought, this is an interesting story in the fact that she's so powerful. Why is she so powerful? I'm sure they're going to tell us.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. That's what I thought. Definitely, because when I saw the first one,
when they didn't in the second one, and they just were throwing things left, right, and center out the fucking door, that everything that they'd set up, and I was just like, what? But what's literally throwing shit like lightsabers and fucking everything else out the door, like her parents and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, but why do this? It's just like vandalism.
Yeah, well, that's
it's
what
like
they wanted.
Everything you've just made, you've just vandalized.
Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted the women to be in the front. But as I said,
I couldn't see that. I couldn't see that agenda. I didn't see it with the Ghostbusters movie either, the new one. No, I didn't. I was so looking forward to that movie. I was. And I was like, oh, great. 2 days only till the teaser trailer. Awesome. And then I got the fucking trailer, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What are people saying on the internet? And that's where I all started. I was like, what are people saying? Surely I shouldn't be. I should be liking this shit, but I'm not. And everybody else hated it too. And I was like, well, I'm not alone.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? As I said, I'm pretty sure what Swap Shop's writing is going to be better than what they came up with in the third one. But it was so easy to correct, because a lot of people say, no, you know, what's his name? Fucked it. You couldn't correct it. And I don't believe that at all. You couldn't correct it.
To me, Luke Skywalker didn't die in the second one. Like, you could have just easily have brought him back.
Yeah.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't need to bring Han Solo back for this one, right? So Harrison Ford, you didn't need
but
it.
He didn't come anyway.
He did. He came as a ghost, didn't he?
No.
Dream. In the third one.
No.
He did.
Did you watch that film? Did you watch the same film?
Yeah, he was in it.
Listen to me. Princess Leia, right, uses her force powers to make a fake Han Solo.
Yeah.
Really?
No, listen to me.
In her son's head,
in her son's head, okay? Yeah. And then she's like, and he's like, come on.
Oh, hello. Is he gone?
I think the dog's interrupting.
All right, okay. Oh, he's gone.
Probably pulled the cord or something. Yeah, I know his dog was in the room with him, so he probably just bent over to give him a stroke or something, and he might have pulled the cord.
Pull the plug out.
Yeah,
but no, I understood Han Solo wasn't there, but whatever ghost he was or whatever, he was based. They didn't need to do that. They really didn't need to do that at all. And as I said, right. The third one should have been really the second, the way they did the third one, obviously they still had the agenda in there. Mm-hmm. And you didn't feel anything for her when she was fighting against Palpatine. Should never have been in it. Never have been in it. Because that's just shitting all over Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Everything that Luke did, wasn't it? So
they could have brought Palpatine back if they were imaginative enough, and they could have done it in such a way where it didn't destroy previous films. But these guys they're so untalented. Abrams is all about mystery boxes, and Chris Terrio, I don't know why he was brought on board, because he's not got anything of note to his portfolio in the slightest, as far as I'm concerned. But these are the people they brought in to try and fix this absolute massive disaster. All they needed were true fans, people that were writers from the EU to come in. And to basically sit in a room, brainstorm, and they could have come out with something that could have fixed it completely. But they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to make it good. They just wanted. They knew they didn't have to make any effort because the Star Wars label just sells the films on its own, and therefore, and sure enough, it made $1 billion. People just walked in zombie-like into cinemas to see it because they thought, oh, the lasers, the spaceships. And fortunately, we got what we deserved. Ultimately, not the fans, but the stupid public.
But I don't understand, because as I said, when I went to the cinema, there was hardly anybody in the cinema. There was a few in the front and about 6 at the back, and this was prime time. This was like 7 o'clock in the evening. Mm-hmm. You'd think that, and this was the second day it was released.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how much money did it make in England. That's the question. Or are they fudging the returns?
That's all a big question these days, isn't it? Whether they do fudge it to look better or not. There's no way we can ever know how much these things make anymore. But no matter how much it made, you've got to think about how much it cost to actually put into production. Like, just the marketing alone would have been an absolute fortune for this film, and the production of it, because they reshot so much stuff and they threw stuff out and remade stuff, and the special effects and all the trying to shoehorn Carrie Fisher in there and everything costs so much money, and it would have been a ridiculous total that it would have cost to make for this film. So you really do have to wonder, even if it made $1 billion, how much of that was actually a profit.
No, I said Star Wars is a puzzle to me. It was obvious that there was a big backlash from the second one. So why didn't they do it again? The blame falls at KK's feet.
Yeah,
it's got to be her.
Yeah, it's arrogance. The fact they can't admit they made mistakes, because if they did that, then they can't be admitting that they're the wrong custodians for the franchise. So they just doubled down. They just ploughed on, made more and more mistakes, and just drove it more and deeper into the ground. They could have just said, okay, well, let's have a do-over. Obviously, no one liked episode 8. We'll rewrite the story and take it in a different direction. We're sorry to everybody, but we're going to do better, and we're going to make a better trilogy going forwards. People would have just said, wow, okay, all right, fair enough. Let's see what you're going to do. They wouldn't have then, piled on them and said, just give it up, forget it, you're rubbish. They would have said, okay, apology accepted. we'll see what you're going to do next. But it got worse and worse and worse because they ended up calling the fans idiots and attacking the audiences. And they just went completely the wrong direction with it. They could have saved it, but they just, again, like I said, they doubled down and made it worse.
Did you see was it New Batch? Old Batch?
Oh, Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
Yeah, that came after the Gina Carano firing. So I was checked by that time. I just thought, you know what, no matter what Disney put out, even though I'm not paying to watch it, I'm not going to give it my time, because I know now the mentality of the people that are behind this the production for this. I don't think I'll even be able to, even though I enjoyed it, but I had a lot of problems.
I didn't like it.
I didn't see the Bad Batch, but even though I enjoyed Mandalorian and it had a lot of problems, I now feel very soured on that, and I do not have any inclination to go back and watch the next series or the Boba Fett series or anything they make, to be honest with you, because I know everything that they make now is disingenuous. It's made by people that just want to shove stuff out there, hoping that they don't really care about the errors that are in there. They know that the Star Wars logo's on there and it'll sell, and it's just got lazy, and they know people will buy into it, and it's not made with love anymore. It's not made with passion. It's not made with care and attention to detail. It's not made to be an event anymore like it was previously. It's not made to push the franchise forward and innovate and make interesting new stories and create new worlds and new realms and diverge out into unexplored regions of this galaxy. They've just enclosed it all into this one little area. They've reduced the size of the universe, and they've just killed off any interesting characters, and they're now going back to the stuff that George Lucas created, dragging them back out again, but doing it in such a bad way. They're writing the characters poorly. Like Boba Fett's nowhere near the character that he used to be.
No, he's not.
The mystery is gone. His ruthlessness is gone. They've turned him into a good guy. He's got a massive paunch now. He's wearing a bloody black dress instead of
didn't realize, and he's bald.
His outfit. And it's like, and the stormtroopers are just running up to their targets instead of shooting them and allowing themselves to be shot and killed and hit with sticks. It's just beggars belief, the stupidity that's behind it now. And I have to look at it and I just think, I can't bring myself to want to watch this, because I know how stupid it is, and it's lost it for me. It's completely lost it. They had their opportunity, they had their chance to get intelligent writers on board with this and to take it forward and pay respects to it, and they wasted it completely. And the true fans that are out there that appreciated it, that truly appreciated it and its nuances and its layers and its details, can see that all that's been lost and it's all been stripped away and it's all just superficial now, and they just don't want to know anymore. And I held on for as long as I could, and I can't honestly stick with it. I can't honestly get excited about anything they release now. Like the Bad Batch, like you say, I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I just couldn't care.
It was really bad. It was just no characterization.
It wasn't that bad.
I didn't think it was good at all. No characterization, just thrown in there. It seemed like they said, right, you got to accept these characters.
By gender type little
I just didn't like it.
Clone didn't work.
I watched two. I think I watched 3 episodes, and that was enough for me. It didn't want me to want to watch anymore. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. When I send you this stuff, I'm going to put my dog in the box as well. All right.
Okay, cool.
Little shit just pulled the fucking plug out on me.
Oh dear.
He never ever gets in there, and yet all of a sudden, he wants to get in there. He's out now trying to bloody play with his toys and shit at like 1 o'clock.
He's feeling neglected.
Yeah. So, no, he's a cunning little shit. He is. So, anyway, sorry about that. But yes. Did they explain to you about Princess Leia?
No, look.
That's the reason why she died. She used all her power to.
Yeah. No. I understand. Yeah, totally. But no, the point I was trying to make is they didn't need Harrison Ford in that film. That scene, they never needed that scene.
No.
It was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. It really was.
One of the ones that they reshot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones that reshot.
I mean, there's so many things wrong with that film, but that whole scene was ridiculous. He throws his lightsaber into the sea and says, I don't need that anymore. And he goes, oh shit, now I haven't got a lightsaber. I can't fight anyone now. But, hang a minute. No, that my mortal enemy, that girl, has just stolen my ship, the very thing that I arrived on this planet with. Now I can't get off the planet. Like, none of this stuff is ever explained, ever. It's ridiculously stupid.
Yeah. It is, and as I said, I think it was like they were writing it as they were going along.
Yeah.
It's really, and also somebody pointed out to me that the fight in the second film with Kylo Ren and Rey fighting the red stormtroopers, wherever they were, it's awful. If you look at it quite carefully, they're all waiting to come in and fight her.
Yeah, Robot Head.
It's awful.
His video, and he picks it apart, and you're just sitting there shaking your head when you watch it. I mean, it's a hilarious video. Robot Head does it really well. But it really does highlight exactly how bad that scene was. I mean, when I saw that film in cinema and I was watching it, I was still kind of thinking, no, don't worry about the things you're worried about at the moment. You know, this film's still got like another hour to go. They could pull it back and twist and pull it round, and it could end up being a really good film by the end of it. Don't judge it until it's over, this kind of thing. And that whole scene, that whole fight scene, I was sitting there thinking, like, I was quite enjoying it. I was going, oh my God, wow, bloody hell, I can't believe they did that. And by the time it was over and Snoke was dead, I was just sitting there like hand over my mouth thinking, wow, I can't believe they did that. And I was kind of in total shock and amazement. But it baffles you with special effects and quick cuts and things, so you can't see the mistakes. It's only when you go back and watch it a second time you realise how terrible it is.
Oh, no, I knew as soon as I saw it that it was fucking bad. I was just watching it, and I was like, this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible. And I'd avoided all the spoilers from everybody.
But you know what, right? If you went back to the prequels and you see that fight with Darth Maul, versus Obi-Wan and whatever his name is, Qui-Gon, whatever his name is. That is amazing. That fight was absolutely amazing. And you'd think, this was how many years ago? And look at what crap. Even in Force Awakens when she fights him in the forest, that was so shit. It was like they were just hitting each other's lightsabers. That's what they were doing. There was no skill involved. It didn't look artistic or anything.
No.
Anyway,
no, there was no thought whatsoever for it at all. It was like, oh, let's do a cool lightsaber, duel. It's like, and make sure because I was expecting her to fucking lose in that one.
She should.
Because I was like, she'd have no training. Well, that's the thing, I
wanted Luke
women losing to a man. It's like you can't show a woman being punched by a man. You can't. They want that. They want to be on an equal footing. They want equal rights, but they don't want to be punched. They don't want to be kicked. They don't want to be shown to be, receiving any kind of damage or at the receiving end of an attack in any way. So they've always got to come out on top, even though they never really were engaged in the fight in any way. Completely biased, completely one-sided, complete double standards. And the thing that annoyed me was Kylo Ren comes in, had a blaster wound in his side, fights Finn, knocks him out. Throws Rey against a tree, she falls to the ground, gets knocked out, and then after he beats Finn, then suddenly Rey appears out of nowhere again, completely unharmed, not even a scratch on her, even though that probably would have killed her. That impact against the tree and that fall from 12 feet would have probably killed her, but not a scratch on her at all. No.
Well, I would have thought. I thought, oh, well, that's how he's gonna get he's gonna get breathing troubles as well.
Yeah,
and that disappeared.
They should have done, They could have had him scarred, they could have had him dependent on the machine.
He had trouble breathing for a long time, and I thought,
But you do know that Lucas did have a scene where a woman did get smacked in the face. That was Temple of Doom, when Indiana Jones turns around and smacks that woman in the face in the beginning scene.
Oh yeah, but that was under Lucas though. That was back.
I know. So I think that scene's hilarious. When I first saw it in the cinema, it was absolutely hilarious.
Brilliant, yeah.
And the fact that it's a woman that gets smacked in the face by Indiana Jones just made me laugh.
My first Indiana Jones film. I loved it.
Yeah, so there you go. So I think Matt's trying to remember where that scene is.
To me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I need
to watch it again. The scene where
I only remember Short Round slapping Indy.
No. So it's the scene where he throws the skewer. He throws the skewer into the Chinese guy's son, and then
right at the beginning,
and then the diamond gets hit out of his hand, and everybody's scrambling around because the guy's shooting each other, and then Indiana Jones is so dizzy by the drug, he's kind of trying to stand up, and he turns around, and this girl holding something in her hand, he turns around and literally smacks her in the face, and when I saw it at the cinema, I thought that was hilarious. Personally, I mean, not because he hit a woman, because I just thought it was funny. Just thought it was quite funny that he did that.
That's the thing; it's slapstick.
Yeah, but they probably will release it again, and they probably cut that bit out. Probably.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's going to happen with everything that Disney's going to buy now.
Yeah.
Because I was watching. I started watching this. Dan's been trying to get me to watch Spectre because I hadn't watched it because I hated Skyfall so much I didn't want to watch Spectre. And he's like, "Oh, yeah." So I'll watch it. But I started to watch it and I was like, "Oh, that's a 20th Century Fox film. Does that mean Disney owns it now?" And I was like, "Oh no, hang on, they got bought out by Amazon." Yeah. But I'm like, "Oh shit," what? But apparently they're doing it anyway with the new James Bond. So
I didn't mind Spectre. I don't know what you thought, Swap Shop, but I thought it was. It tried very hard to include everyone. No, not really. It. You know what I liked about it is towards the ending where all of them were utilized. So M was utilized at the ending. Moneypenny had a reason to be there. James Bond and obviously the girl that he saved. Had a reason to be there as well, and I thought was very. I liked the climax more so than in any Craig film.
Don't ruin it. I haven't seen it, but
well, I didn't. I still think Casino Royale is the best Craig Bond.
Oh God, yes,
out of all of them,
absolutely.
But the ending was a bit of a letdown to me. Casino Royale's ending, I thought, was just a bit rubbish.
I think if I watched that with a little bit of Quantum of Solace, I can get through it.
I hated Quantum of Solace. I thought that was just terrible.
That first bit where it takes off straight after the casino.
Oh yeah.
Casino Royale. I can watch that little bit,
Yeah,
but I don't know. On the mission, I couldn't care less.
As I said, I always think that James Bond films are missing the fun and the the gadgets
absolutely.
And stuff, and
Are you going to go and see the new film?
I probably will. I'm not going to book any tickets because I don't think it's worth booking tickets anymore. I'll probably go and see it, during work hours because I obviously work for myself. So I'd probably go and see it like at, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the evening when everybody's at work because at 7 you're never going to get in. So I'll probably see it then and watch it without an audience and stuff. But he just looks so old in the new one. I don't know what you guys think.
No,
he just
does.
Looks really old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, he hasn't aged well. That's for sure. Yeah. He shouldn't have really been in this one. I'm sorry. I don't know why they keep it. To me, they're beating a dead horse. Yeah, with him. It's been 14 years. Even Pierce Brosnan didn't have that long.
Mm-hmm. No. What are you saying, Swap Shop?
I was just saying, I'm wondering if they're going to de-age him at all.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But this film, I don't know. It not because of the woke stuff that they presumably is in it, but I think it's the time waiting for it to come out. I think my enthusiasm's gone for it. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just think, okay, well, whatever. But I remember when Pierce Brosnan became Bond and Timothy Dalton became Bond. I was still excited about Bond. When it got released, I was there buying my ticket. The first day and all that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a lot older now. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I didn't care much for Daniel Craig's announcement.
What did he say?
No. Just the fact that I don't know. He always seemed a bit arrogant to me. I've never ever sat with him well, and I mean, I can see he'd probably be the closest to what James Bond was in the books.
Really?
But
really?
Yeah, well, because he was quite a thug in the books.
I don't know. I never read the books. No. I've only read.
He's very much not only he's supposed to be a lethal weapon, but he's more of a don't care sort of attitude. Like he'll treat a woman like a piece of shit just to get what he needs, and that sort of thing.
But that was his job.
I think. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying though, like I don't know. Sean Connery always had a bit of he loved every woman that he ever popped.
I read the only novel I read was Spy Love Me. And that basically avoided describing what Bond was like. So basically, Spy Love Me is this: he's in a hotel room. This woman comes in. She's Russian or whatever. He obviously chats her up. He sleeps with her. Some people try to, I can't remember, do something with her. He beats them up and helps her, and then he's off. And he drives off and goes to another mission. That's basically what Spy Love Movie is all about. Obviously, the movie's not like that. They turn it into this big thing where they're trying to take over the world and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the only one I've read. To tell you the truth, I've never understood why people wanted Bond to be like the novels, because it's the movie Bond that people go to see. It's the gadgets, it's the fun, it's the countries, it's it's the girls, and that's what people want to see.
Alan Moore did a very like a Bond-esque character in his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I hated him. I thought he was a pig, and I was like, I'm so glad they didn't go that route. But then, of course, they ended up doing it with Craig. Are you
going to go and see it?
I don't know.
Are you going to go and see it, guys?
Well, I will if I get through Spectre.
Spectre's okay. What do you think of Spectre Swap Shop? Did you think it was good?
Have I even seen Spectre? I'm not sure I've even seen it, to be honest with you. I think I checked out a Bond.
That's the thing, isn't it? I don't think a lot of people have seen Spectre.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace, I kind of lost interest, really. I thought, I'll just wait for the next Bond. Maybe they'll reboot it and make it a bit more interesting.
Weird shit with oil, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I may have seen Spectre in the background on TV one Christmas or something, and I kind of vaguely watched it without really caring about it in the slightest. Same for Skyfall. I don't even know if what ones I've missed or ones I've seen. I really don't care. Yeah. I'm just waiting for. I just love it if they rebooted it like Man from Uncle movie that came out a few years ago. If they set it in the 60s, I think I'd be a lot more interested in it.
Was that set in the 60s?
No.
It was. Yes,
it was. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing about the Man from Uncle,
they should have done that with the Saint.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think the only good thing about it was Hugh Grant. Every time I see that guy, he makes me laugh. That's the only good thing about it.
Man from Uncle.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Oh.
I think he was playing Mr. Waverly. I think he was playing Waverly. So yeah, a young Waverly.
The
obviously.
One with that hammer guy. That's the one that's causing all the controversy and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've never been a fan of either of them, really. I don't think what's his name makes a good Superman. I don't think
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
Maybe I'm just fickle.
I still think he'll make a good Bond. Henry will make a really good Bond, in my opinion. I think if he lost a bit of weight and still kept his leanness, and he's got the acting chops to be Bond, in my opinion. A lot of people disagree, but I think he'd be really. Because who else is left? Who else is going to play Bond now? Right? There's no one. I mean,
they need a no-name.
Well, they're talking about this guy that was in The Bodyguard. What's his name? And he doesn't look like a Bond to me. Bond's got to be devastatingly handsome, isn't he? Because that's how he gets all the girls and stuff. So he's got to be handsome. He's got to be fit. He's got to be, for the reasons of business, James Bond's got to be good looking, because women would love to see James Bond. They loved Sean Connery. They loved Roger Moore. They loved Timothy Dalton. That's a factor. That's got to be in the film, in the movies. Yeah. So to take that away, it's going to lose its appeal. So I don't know, mate. I
think the only time I ever saw, like the first time I ever saw James Bond was when he was in what was it? The Man from Uncle TV movie.
Oh, that's
and it was George
Lazenby. Lazenby.
And my dad was saying, "That's James Bond. That's James Bond," and I'm like, "Who?" And he's like, "He's Australian." I'm like, "Really?" And then like later, I'm like, "Oh, he's Australian." He's like, "No, he's not. That's Sean Connery." I'm like, "What?"
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, but it worked though, didn't it? The whole, they don't even register the fact that they're different characters.
No, because it's
and for many years, a lot of people wanted that. They wanted that fact that they were different. They were different. They just had the mantle of 007.
No, it's just another actor playing the same character. I've always believed in
that's what I've liked, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
Isn't there that? There's that scene with Roger Moore. When he's in the graveyard and he's looking at his
dead
wife's grave. And then he gets kidnapped by Blofeld, and then it goes all pear-shaped from there.
No,
that helicopter thing.
I do like the franchise the Bond franchise, and it has given me a lot of enjoyment throughout the years. But I think they went wrong.
It's getting ruined now, though.
Yeah, I think they went wrong with trying to make it like Bourne Identity. And I think they went wrong. All
Oh,
right, do it for the first two, of course, maybe, but
Die Another Day. That lost it. That lost it for
yeah,
me.
bring back
It did.
Bond. One of the best ones I thought was obviously Spy Love Me was terrific. I loved Tomorrow Never Dies. I loved that film. That I thought was terrific.
Which is the one with the
No, no, it's
pigeon?
the one with the pigeon. That's Moonraker.
Is that the one with with the pigeon
Yeah,
just like
that's it.
looking at him?
Moonraker.
Oh,
That's Moonraker.
that's
I
what I call
I loved
good comedy.
Thunderball. I loved Goldfinger. I thought those were great, and everything else is everything else. But Bond stands for fun, family entertainment, and glamour. If you take away those aspects of a Bond film, then what have you got? You've just got a you pronounce that word?
Generic.
Generic action film. That's all you've got if you don't have those elements. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what I think.
It's called entertainment, isn't it? It's like leave your brain at the door, have a good time, and then have a think later. But
if Barbara Broccoli said to me, we want you to direct a James Bond film, the first thing I would say is, right, let's get some gadgets in there. Can we have a clever gadget this time round?
Hey,
okay.
If they hire the guy from 7-Up, then they should be able to.
But
something be able to hire you.
Something that's quite clever. Maybe a bike this time rather than a car. Something. Something that's quite that's the showpiece of the actual. Because Spy Love Me, obviously, the showpiece was the
car, the Esprit.
That's it. As a kid, you wanted that. As a kid, you wanted that corgi toy, didn't you? I really wanted it.
I had the Goldfinger corgi toy with the ejector seat.
Ejector seat. Keep losing the guy.
I love that. Yeah, I did. I lost the guy.
I lost the guy as well. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You need to think about these things. You can't. Yes, Bond needs to be more grounded. I agree totally. But it also needs to have fun as well, and comedy, and one-liners, and gadgets, and it needs to have beautiful women.
I miss the one-liners.
Yeah,
I miss the one-liners.
That stuff.
I miss the meeting with Q and getting the really cool gadgets. And I don't care for that new Q that they've got on there. And I never warmed to John Cleese ever.
No, nor did I. But do you know what, guys? Who would you hire as Q if you were in charge of the Bond film and you were in charge of casting? Who would you hire? Would you hire a young chap or would you hire an older chap to play Q?
I'd hire an older chap, someone that's been around, because you got to think of it, Ian. He got all the gadgets that he needed for that mission. Now, how did Q know what he would need? He'd have to have done that mission before or seen a similar mission.
Yeah.
He used every single gadget. There was never a gadget that he didn't use.
Well, it did get a bit ridiculous at one point, but what I'm saying is that what actor,
car and shit.
Yeah. But what actor would you get to play Q now? Out of all the actors that you got, Andy Hopkins, really?
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. He's got presence, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And the reason why I think you should have an old man is because Q needs to have the experience of everything from computers straight across to engineering. And you can't have all that experience if you're 24.
Hi, Shadow Man.
You know what I mean? What do you reckon, Swap Shop?
No, I totally agree. This is what I loved Q and M from the Roger Moore and Sean Connery movies, because they were perfect. They set the tone. It's like Alfred from Batman, isn't it? You can't make him a young kid. It has to be that kind of that guy.
Yeah.
It's like Doc Brown from the Back to the Future movies. He has to be that kind of old crazy kind of scientist guy. It's the same with, for me anyway. It's the same with Doctor Who. You can have like a younger guy on there, but for me, the Doctor will always be a kind of a wise old grandfatherly type guy who's a bit of a crazy professor,
Yeah.
And if you start swapping them out for other identities, it will never ring true.
But who would you get to play him though? See, out of all the actors of today, if you were in charge of making a Bond film, so we agree that Q should be an older gentleman.
Yeah.
And he should be English, obviously. But who would you cast as Q now? Because Desmond Llewellyn, he was just absolutely fantastic as Q.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't fault him.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. He didn't even die of old age. He died in a car accident. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
But that made me sad. Remember that last time you saw him and he went,
He went down the...
Yeah, he said, always
know
have an
what?
escape plan. And he presses that
I
switch
say
and it
that
goes
all
down.
the time. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I say that to my friends because they just go, you know, what are you going to do about this? And I'm like, always have an escape plan.
And then you sink down.
But you know what, Mega Geek? That one's actually really, if you rewatch it, it's actually a really awkward scene. It goes on for way too long. No, it goes on for way too long. Like it's like, oh, we'll just, you know, he's like going down and then he's just staring at James Bond.
Yeah, but it was but Matt, it was for the audience though, because everybody knew that this was his last one.
It was his last one.
Yeah,
and it literally was his last one, you know.
It was. And I felt sad when that happened because when they were watching him go down, that was the audience. That was to tell the audience that this is his last one. You know, why don't you salute him, basically? And that's what we were all doing in our minds. We were saluting Desmond Llewellyn for playing that character for so many years and doing it beautifully
and being the last one, you know.
Yeah, and so that was the scene, wasn't it? I mean, even though the film was shit, that was a great scene in my opinion.
Which one was this? Tomorrow Never Dies?
This was I think no, it wasn't Tomorrow Never Dies. It was the other one. World is Not Enough. World is Not Enough.
I like World is Not Enough.
I didn't like that one at all.
Oh no, because when it
Christmas Jones,
the Millennium, when they go on to that is it the Millennium Dome?
Yeah, that was a great scene. I love that scene where the money blows up.
Scene to show off on a DVD with a subwoofer.
Yeah. Did you not like? And the music was fantastic. The money blows up. He gets into that little sub thing. David Arnold.
David Arnold. He knew he knew how to.
The Bond tone, he had the Bond tone, and there was that chasing after the cigarette smoking girl, you know, and it was really fantastic scene, and you know that ended, but the film just went mad after that, didn't it?
Yeah. But I think it really jumped the shark with Die Another Day. As soon as I saw that invisible car and Madonna, and I was just like, no, this isn't Bond. You know, and I was just like, it just threw me out of the movie. I just didn't.
It's such a shame because what's his name he still had a lot of punch in him. You know, Pierce Brosnan, he still could have made those films. Just killed it.
He was still a fantastic Bond.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember he was talking about how he got fired. He said they just called him and said, "We won't be needing your services anymore." And then Pierce Brosnan went, okay, and then they put the phone down on him. That's how he was told. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah,
that's how he was told. So there you go.
Yeah, I didn't think he was a terrible Bond, and yet everybody says, "Oh, he was a terrible Bond." And I said, "Well, no, he was probably the last greatest Bond." Because I mean, even though I like Casino Royale, and it sort of, but I couldn't really see it continuing on. You know, from that movie, you know, I just couldn't see it. I just couldn't see him continuing on with that role. He just doesn't have that shit that Sean Connery had, that Roger Moore had. He just doesn't have it.
Even though I liked
no mojo.
Yeah, even though I liked Casino Royale as an action film, I personally thought that Daniel Craig was
Jim
wrong.
Broadbent would be all right.
Oh yes, of course. He'd be really good. He's quite a well-established actor.
Piers Morgan. I don't think so, because we've unfortunately hired Piers Morgan here in Australia. So he's going to be doing Sky Australia now, which no one likes him. We don't.
because of Murdoch.
Yeah, he's a shithead. But anyway, well, Murdoch's.
I honestly think that you know, someone that is not too old, so we can have him for like 6 movies. Someone that basically looks like he's been around the world and knows technology.
Exactly.
You know, someone with a bit of grey hair or maybe going grey. You know, and someone that has authority, because when you see Desmond Llewellyn play Q, I think he really come into his own. I think it was in Thunderball. You can tell that he was what's that word? Exasperated by Bond, obviously because of his quips, but he was also in charge of Bond. He was like, you know, bring it back. You know, don't touch that, you know, and stuff like that. It was.
See, to me, he was in his element when he was at MI5 or MI6.
Yeah.
But when they took him out of it, it didn't really suit him.
But also another thing, Swap Shop and Matt, right? Do you remember when in the Bond films they used to have a scene in it where Bond is doing all his action, then he somehow gets off track, and then he goes, like for instance, I give an example, Man with the Golden Gun. So I think it's, where was he? Was he in Japan or was he in China? Anyone?
Man with the Golden Gun.
Anyway,
he was on some weird. I think it was China.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think in China they have this tourist attraction where this boat is turned upside down. Okay, and people can go in it and whatever. And so basically, James Bond walks towards this tourist attraction, goes in there, and that's where M is, and that's where Q is, and that's where, do you know what I mean? They just set up camp in this upside down boat. And then the same thing happened in Spy Love Me, where he was in the desert. He gets knocked out by Anya. He starts walking. He walks into a pyramid, and that's where they all are. That's, what's his name? M, and the head of the Russian thing. He was there. They're all waiting for him. Moneypenny, and they never. There you go. And they don't do. They stopped doing that. I thought that was really clever. And even in Octopussy.
I could see it. Yeah.
Remember in Octopussy when he was in India and then he goes through that, there's that poster where it goes up and closes. And then he's in there and M's there and everybody else is there because they set up camp in India. They stopped doing that. And I want to bring that back if I was in charge. That was very
Kingsman.
That would actually make, that's like something out of Captain Scarlet when they used to go to a gas station or whatever and they'd show them their pass. But like all of a sudden, like there'd be something in a van or something.
I think what they were trying to say was that they have treaties with these countries, so if they need to build up a base in certain places, they can. And I love that idea. Moonraker, when he walks into the church. And he goes into the confessional box and says, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." And then there's Q with the beard, and he goes, "Well, that's putting it mildly, 007." All that stuff is fantastic. It's so funny, And then
that's why I like having you on here. You give a perspective that.
But and then you have that scene in it where they're walking around. Have all those monks firing guns and stuff like that. And it's just
I loved
fantastic.
it when they always went wrong.
Yeah,
it's like when that one lost its head, that was funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't do that anymore, but that's absolutely hilarious stuff that they should bring back.
Me of the random gadgets as well. Like when I can't remember which one it was now. I think he might have been in Venice or somewhere, or maybe even in China. And he's like on a boat, and then suddenly this, the punting stick that he's using has got like a propeller blade on the end of it, and and things like that, just randomly out of nowhere. You think, oh wow, we really wish to still do stuff like that as well.
It's silly. It's silly, but it's pure Bond. It's pure
how
movie
do you
Bond.
Think about I actually
Hugh Grant.
Say Anthony Hopkins.
Hugh Grant would make a great Q, and Hugh Grant doesn't like acting,
possibly.
But if Hugh Grant every other year or every 3 years could take that gig, I reckon he'll do it. Because of the money, he'll just go, right, I'll do it. Hugh Grant would be fantastic. I like Hugh Grant, though. I'm biased.
Yeah,
he
can just go above a log of wood. Yep.
But as I said, you got to have someone that looks like they know about stuff. They know about gadgets. That's the thing. And this new fella that they got, he just looks like he's good at computers.
007.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any other old actors.
Did he ever use a gadget back to front or something? He never did it wrong, did he?
No. But I tell you, this might be a crazy idea and it might be out there. What about David Jason playing Q?
Yeah, that would work. Yeah,
that might be quite good because he's a man of age now and he does have authority. He
still sounds like Danger Mouse to me.
I know. But he might be good. You never know because he might be, or even Bradley Walsh. Bradley Walsh might make a good Q. Because he's a good actor and he's at age. You don't think idea?
Good acting from him.
He was in the American version of what was that show he was in? He was really good in that. What was it called? But he's a really good actor. Even though he does a lot of quiz shows and stuff, he's a really good actor. Especially with his accent, he would make a really good Q.
Yeah, he would.
I think. Yeah. So There are out there. I think I don't know why they cast that new fella as Q.
Maybe they'll need a female Q or something.
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah,
if they had to cast a female Q, who could they do? Oh, I know, Judi Dench.
But you know what? If they do go down that avenue, I reckon Helen Mirren would make a good Q.
Yeah.
You know, she'd be really great at it, you know. And she'll take the gig. She knows it's every 3 years that she'll be getting paid.
Come on, Ian. Let's just make a Bond.
No. No, but seriously though, Swap Shop. Don't you think that's a good idea? Helen Mirren as Q. That would be amazing. She'd be really good at it.
Yeah, she's perfect James Bond fodder, isn't she? I think she'd work so well with that. Yeah,
she would work with it.
Good casting.
She'd be able to tell James Bond
so
off.
Much like Judi Dench.
Yeah, she would. Yeah, you just got to remember when she was in that
not Basic Instinct. She wasn't.
Not Basic Instinct. What was it called again from the 90s?
I can't remember the show. She played a cop, didn't she?
Yeah.
Prime Suspect.
Prime Suspect, of course.
I love that show. It was great.
Yes. She's really. I mean, I could see her going. You know, now pay attention and don't touch that and stuff. I could see her saying that. You know.
Yeah, you've mentioned it. The actor that was in A Touch of Frost with David Jason, the one that played his Offsider, he'd be good too as a
Which
Q.
one?
He was a redheaded guy.
Oh,
he was a redheaded guy with a mustache.
I think he died, mate. Yeah, in real life, I think he died.
No. I think he just had a birthday. He's like 80.
Are you sure? I think he died.
Positive. No, he didn't die.
Oh, okay.
No, he just had an 80th birthday, or unless it's posthumous.
Well, I know someone from that show died. Someone that was been in it a long time died. I know that, but I would get Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren. The more I think about it, more I think she'd be really good as Q. I think she'd be really, really cool. Actually,
I think Colin Firth might
Patricia
work as well.
Colin Firth, yeah, he'd be good. But Colin Firth's too. You know, he's too upper class to play Q. Q was more of a...
I never got him anyway.
He was very well spoken. Oh, Q. M was really well spoken. Which one? Hang on a minute. Q or M? Q. Which one's the gadget guy?
Q.
Yeah. Well, Q was always very well spoken in the old movies, wasn't he?
But Q was in the army. So he's an electrical engineer, and
Q was obviously in World War II.
Yeah.
He designed the rats that
But I'm just saying that we could, as I said, if they wanted to change Q to a girl, I think Helen Mirren would be perfect. In fact, I think I'm so loving that idea now. Thinking about that, really loving that idea. That
sometimes it works.
Would be good. Yeah.
Sometimes it works, but when you're just gonna go, we need to put a woman in this role. Yeah, let's just get somebody.
But when they cast Judi Dench,
when
they cast Judi Dench. Do you remember when they cast Judi Dench? I thought that was perfect because it was mirroring what was happening at the time. Because I think the woman that in charge of MI6 was a woman. All right, so in real life. So when they cast Judi Dench, I thought, that makes sense. That, and I wasn't even thinking about.
You mean for the first time or the second time?
No, the first time when I cast
the first time was a great choice.
Yeah,
but the second time I thought was an absolute mistake.
You mean with Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was okay.
They could have just replaced her with another woman.
I don't know. I think it was okay. I liked Judi Dench because she's such a great actress and she has the command that you need.
She was very matriarchal, wasn't she, as well?
Yeah. You didn't need. It wasn't a woke thing to do in those days. I agreed. I totally agreed that Judi Dench would make a great.
I think if they get an old woman now, they just get Judi Dench or Helen Mirren.
But Judi Dench wasn't James Bond.
That's all they play is old women. It's like there's no.
I don't know. I said you either cast Helen Mirren as Q or you cast who was the other one that we liked.
I didn't like the Miss Moneypenny at all, especially when she was the one that shot James Bond. And it's like, and I'm like, no, she should be a secretary. I'm sorry. There are some people that should be just secretaries.
But I mean, I didn't mind the new Moneypenny, but I questioned why she was black.
Yeah.
That's the question. I was like, I think the actress
is black. I just don't know why she'd have to be a military type, person that would work in that thing if you're
Yeah,
going to be
that's
doing a
true.
desk job, you
Yeah,
know.
there are admin
Take the
people.
shot.
Just because you're an admin doesn't mean to say you need to be able to snipe and use guns and things as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're not military
Exactly.
trained. You know, you're specializing in admin. Basically, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you can then fight off supervillains.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying in that story that she was that first before she became the assistant to M. That's what they were saying in that story, because it was starting from the top, wasn't it? From the top. That's what they were saying.
They've got to give her a story.
Yeah, and also I love the idea that when they reintroduced Judy Dent, she wasn't the real M. So when you saw her in those films, she had a plush office or whatever. Then when she died, and Ralph Fiennes replaced her, when at the ending of that film, when he opens the door, you see the padded door from the old Bond films, and the office looked like the office with Bernard Lee. So and it really was saying to you,
that.
yeah, so it was really saying to you, this is the start of Bond. This is the M that we knew from the past. Judi Dench M wasn't the M from the past. This guy is the guy that we know. So I liked that idea. I thought that was a really clever, but I still didn't like Craig. But there you go. That's just my take
I
on it.
don't think Ray Fiennes makes a good M.
I don't mind him. I think he brings a lot of gravitas to it. And also
Bernard Lee did the best one.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bernard Lee was very much a pipe smoking man, wasn't he? He was very much the old school. But I didn't mind Ralph Fiennes. So Ralph Fiennes made a really good M because he's got authority. That's the thing. That's what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, when you first saw, I'm sorry, I'm going on a bit, but when you first saw M in Goldfinger, he's really tough on Bond, isn't he? He's like, you better pay attention, or else we're going to fire you and all that stuff. And then when he came to Roger Moore, he was still in command, but he was very soft, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
The bit where in Moonraker, where he has that wrist firing thing and he fires at his favourite painting, and M just goes, "Really, 007?" He doesn't tell him off or anything. It's like
none of it matters really, does it?
No, it's just a complete change of M, isn't it? Just because of Roger Moore comes in,
It seemed more like Get Smart, really.
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes is in the new Kingsman movie, isn't he? As the King's Man. Yeah, he plays the main character in that. So yeah,
he is. But as I said, I think
that's
I do
strange
like
movie as well. That's going way off topic too. That one. I do.
Even though I'm, even though I'm not a white person, as you can tell, I do love the English. No. Better kick me off. But
no, never.
But what I'm saying is that I don't know about you, Swap Shop, or you, Matt. I do love the idea of the English thing about England. I love the bowler hats. Yeah. I love the accents. I like Hugh Grant because I think he's funny, and I like it the way that he has the standing in England. And I love James Bond, the way they stood for British military and this, that, whatever. And I love all that stuff. Even Doctor Who, I love the idea that the Doctor, he had a voice that like he was from Cambridge. Do you know what I mean? I love all that stuff.
Well,
and it's really weird.
Yeah, it plays into that identity, doesn't it, of England in that time. Now they want to dilute it and remove all that, and it's like, no, what are you doing? What's wrong with something having its own identity? And to be swapped out for something else just because for the sake of false diversity. Yeah, you're completely taking away something's identity that was there, that was inherent to begin with. They'd started to do it with James Bond now as well. You cannot change these things out. You can't swap them out just because you think it's the establishment, just because you think it's white men. This is the identity of these IPs. You want something else. You want something that breaks it up and adds a bit more diversity and makes things a bit more. Balances out the color a bit, I suppose you could say. Then go and create a new IP, create a new character. Don't leave them as they are. Keep their identities. Otherwise, you lose what they are. You lose the essential essence of how they look, and how they feel, and the reason why people like them in the first place.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And as I said, right, I think. Yeah, I mean, look how hard Sean Connery had to fight to lose his Scottish accent to play Bond, and he was talking very. Is it RP? I don't know what they call it now, but he was forcing himself to be. When you look at Doctor No, he was forcing him to be that kind of a character. Obviously, as the films went on, he had that Connery Connery talk lilt that when he was speaking and stuff like that. But then, as I said, you went from him to Lazenby, and Lazenby obviously had to put the voice in as well, the RP voice. Then when you went from him to Roger Moore was born that way. Mm-hmm. So do you know what I mean? So they were just keeping that tone up as James Bond. And then when I went to Craig, he's just like some thug. And it just became something else, you know? And even Pierce Brosnan had the accent.
Even when they brought that Casino Royale, that first trailer and that, because you remember they were saying, you know, he was made a 00 in that film.
Yes.
So to me, it was a reboot.
Yeah, it was. It was. They actually said it was a reboot.
They went to the extent of like pretty much starting from scratch, except for Helen Mirren.
Yeah,
I'm having a go at Dame Judi Dench then. But anyway, but yeah, it's just the fact that you know, that to me sort of went, well, okay, what are you doing? You know?
No,
and then
you're right.
Yeah,
but they did the same thing with for the other Bonds. So they had the same. Bernard Lee was in Sean Connery as well as Roger Moore. So I didn't mind that. They were just doing what they did in the past.
Didn't they have a photo of him on a desk?
I don't know.
Bernard Lee? Isn't it? There's a movie. There's the movie where they actually go in and like he's actually, because he's dead, so they put his like photo on the.
Is that GoldenEye?
I don't know.
GoldenEye?
With James Judi Dench's first one, I think it might have been.
Right.
Okay. But he wasn't in the one with Timothy Dalton, though, was he?
But look, I mean, also another thing. Look how cool Sean Connery looked in a tux.
Yeah.
And then you had I mean, I don't know about Lazenby, because Lazenby looked okay. He looked very 60-ish. He was a man from the 60s.
He's a prick.
But
yeah, go on.
But look at Roger Moore when he was in the tux. From I think he wore one in I think Spy Love Me is the first time you saw him. He's very much a 70s man. Both Sean Connery and Roger Moore, they're suave, man. They look fantastic in a suit, right? And the same thing with Timothy Dalton. Dalton was a handsome man when he played Bond. He had that chiseled face.
There's actually a scene in like with Roger Moore. I was really, because I always warmed to Roger Moore. To me,
so do I. Yeah.
He sort of grew up. I sort of grew up at that stage that he was Bond, and so, but when I watched the first one that he was in, what's it called? The one with the not the Files. What is it?
What's that?
What's it called? The first movie that he's in, the next Bond. Oh, Roger Moore.
Roger Moore was Live and Let Die.
Not Live and Let Die. So yeah, and he was in that, and then Jane Seymour. He sleeps with Jane Seymour, and then Jane Seymour turns to him and goes, "I was a virgin."
Yes.
And she's only like 17, 18.
Yeah.
And he just swipes her off. He just doesn't give a shit. And I was like, wow, that was how they were going to play James Bond, the original. You know, that's how he was going to play his Bond. But he didn't. Thankfully, he didn't do that. But then it got a little bit campy.
Yeah, but Roger was. I mean, there's a history behind it. Roger was against stuff like that. Like, for instance, there's a bit in Man with the Golden Gun where he slaps Maud Adams. He slaps her and he says, "Tell me the truth." And he hated doing that because they were saying, like, "This is Bond," and Roger Moore was going, "Well, can I not slap her?" And the director was saying, "No, you have to slap her because this is who Bond is." Mm-hmm. And as the years went on, they basically, because he was so famous as Bond, when Roger said, "I don't want to do that," they went, "Okay." Do you know what I mean? So the Bond character changed to this lighter version.
I never liked that other side character, the one that was the American sheriff or whatever. You remember that one, the one with Roger Moore?
Yeah, that was.
It just seemed too campy and stupid.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, but there was two. He showed up twice.
Yeah, Man with the Golden Gun. He showed up in Man with the Golden Gun. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I love James Bond. James Bond is part of my teenage years, me growing up.
Well, it's part of your DNA, isn't it?
It is. I love Bond, and for them to do what they do into Bond with the Craig era,
I've been avoiding that actually.
I just
because
felt
I've been hearing all these horrible things. I've been avoiding it, so I've not, until I actually finally see it,
Well,
because I can do that
what
amazingly.
watch
Make
Casino
my own
Royale.
mind up.
Casino Royale is really good, and Quantum of Solace is waste anyone's time, and Spectre I thought was quite good. So, but
Okay,
Bond's,
I'll watch Spectre.
yeah, but Bond's always been in my life. James Bond. I've got hundreds of books on Bond. When books were
Oh
a
yeah,
thing.
me too.
Yeah, and I've got the poster from Doctor
Ah,
No. The
they made
poster
the
book.
best posters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the poster book I've got from Doctor. I've got the poster book where it explains that how they came to that conclusion with the poster, and it goes from Doctor No to
yes.
I think
I think I have the
Goldeneye.
Japanese version of
It
that.
goes it goes to Goldeneye, I think, and then there's an updated version where it goes from Goldeneye to what's
Is that
his
the
name?
one with the posters? Is that
Yeah.
the one with the actually has posters in it?
Yes, James Bond
Yeah,
poster
I think
book.
I've got that one. I think I have
Yeah.
that one somewhere.
I've got.
somewhere.
So they updated it, so I had to buy it
I
twice.
have the one with the character with the concept art too, because that's really nice too. If you've ever seen that,
No.
and it's just like the concept art, like some of it from like Derek Meddings and all that sort of stuff.
Like for instance, right? I don't know if you know this. When they were making Thunderball, they were just making up as they go. And when they were flying, they're trying to find locations. They were in a helicopter.
Oh no, that guy had a script. He took him to court.
When he was flying, they saw this volcano, volcano, and they said that'll make a good location. So they wrote it into the script for Thunderball. That's how they used to make Bond films in those days. They literally, when they saw something,
the
they'd
one where
write
he's
it
in
in
Japan, isn't it?
Yes,
Thunderball.
yes. Yeah, it is.
Because when he went, he had to go. For some reason, they went to Japan for him to film it, and I remember an interview with Sean Connery, and they said, "Why did you leave Bond?" And he goes, "Well, I went to Japan," and he said, "When you go to the toilet and they're taking photos under the thing," and I just cracked up laughing. I was just like, "Oh, really?"
So the character Domino? Is it? I think it's Domino.
Yes.
So I think that was in Thunderball. The girl with the red hair. I don't think she was Domino. I can't remember who the girl with the red hair is. You know how she got that part? She couldn't act. It's obvious when you watch the film she couldn't act. She got that part on the size of her breasts.
Yeah,
that's how she got the part. Yeah.
Yep, I believe that.
That's
because
crazy.
a friend of mine, but Ian, a friend of mine, she was actually going to be in a movie, a James Bond film. She was going to be a Bond girl. She was going to be a Bond girl in the 70s, right? And Broccoli wanted her to meet Frank Sinatra, because Frank Sinatra wanted to meet her.
Yeah.
And she said, "No, I'm not meeting Frank Sinatra." And he said, "You will meet Frank Sinatra." And she said, "No, I'm not meeting Frank Sinatra," because he just wanted to have sex with her. Because that's what Sinatra did, And they said, "Well, you're not going to get the role." And she said, "Well, I'm not going to get the role." So she didn't do it.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of that crap going on.
Yeah. But this is like in the early 70s or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that sort of, when you say that sort of stuff, like with the breasts and everything, it happens. It happens,
It's a horrible thing, though. And obviously that should never have been allowed at all, at any time.
And they destroyed her career. They literally destroyed her career.
It's horrible.
Because she wouldn't, she just wouldn't bow to them. And I credit to her. She stuck to her guns.
Not enough people standing up for their morals and principles like that
offered
anymore.
Hammer films. She didn't want to do Hammer films because there was nudity. She wanted to keep her dignity, and good for her.
Yeah.
She had a happy life. She did some good films.
Yep.
And but it's those sort of things. I think that they're just being a little bit more modelly they are, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like they're just now they're just like it's literally a preaching type of thing now. Don't you reckon, Swap Shop?
They're trying to make up for the old days, aren't they? Saying, "Oh, we were sort of a bit, immoral, and Hollywood was a bit of a crazy playground for drug taking alcoholics and whatever. We're trying to promote a new image." And they're not doing a very good job of it, because they're just as bad as they ever were. It's just that on the surface they're trying to promote this preachy, moralistic stance, but
the thing
underneath
is,
there
they
is
had strong
corruptors.
women. They had strong women. Look at Pussy Galore.
They always did. Yeah, they always did.
And a lot of the time, like Bond had to work to get them into bed. You know, he just could just go like that straight into bed. You know, with them, he had to work. He had to work his charm, and and they were strong women, so they could say no. But it's just the fact that it nowadays, like from what I hear, this new one's going to have a woman replacing Bond, which is crazy.
The trailer just shows him Bond like sitting in the back seat and letting the woman do all the stuff, which is kind of mirrors everything.
Hey, do you remember when he had a car and it actually drove itself?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he didn't actually need to do anything, but he maybe press the ejector.
No, he had a
button.
remote in the back, didn't he, on a mobile phone?
Pierce Brosnan's one. That was a BMW.
Yeah, I love that.
I can't remember which one that was. Yeah, but
yeah,
awesome. you could have a car that was
the Tomorrow Never Dies, I think.
But now, yeah, a woman's got to do all this stuff for him. He just basically sits there and watches her do everything better than him. I think that's what's going to be in the new movie. They make a point of showing, and I think it's some kind of powered glider or something. And he says, "Have you ever flown one of these before?" And she says, "No." And and he's right. Well, okay, you must be perfectly capable of doing this. Then let's go.
Was that Caroline Munro?
Who's that?
Pretty sure that was Caroline Munro. She's a famous British actress. She was in that famous film of yours that you like, the one with Knight Rider, David Hasselhoff. The space one. The space one. The one they took off Star Wars.
Oh, Star Crash.
Yeah, she was in that. She played the woman in that.
Right, yeah.
The main female lead. But anyway, she was she was in that, and she did the whole flying the plane and everything.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what with the new movie they're going to do that, but of course it's going to be to put Bond down rather than to sort of say,
they haven't been doing a lot of CGI, have they? And now all of a sudden they're doing CGI all the time.
Yeah,
it used to be their own stunts. They used to get French people to do the stunts.
Yeah, I can't tell what CGI and what isn't these days, to be honest with you. I've kind of given up trying to decipher what is and what isn't.
They did it from scratch, though. They did it with real objects,
Yeah, lost art now.
And now that and I mean the actors aren't even. They didn't even have the actors doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
They had proper stuntmen. Anyway.
Well, never mind.
I think. So, are you going to see it, Mega Geek?
I probably will. I probably will go and see it. I love Bond. No. Yeah. I do love Bond, and even though I don't like Craig, I'll probably go and see what they've done to it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disappointed with it. But you know what, right? You can only hope that the next Bond, whoever they cast as the next Bond, would bring it back into the way it's supposed to be. I'm not saying that it needs to be cheesy like Moonraker. They need to find the balance between real Bond, movie Bond, and something new. I don't know if you guys agree. That's what I think they need to do, But I think James Bond is oh God, I can't even speak now. Institution.
They can't go into they cannot go into another Bond with a woman. They can't.
No, they won't. They won't.
It's going to be like when they go with the Indiana Jones and they go with a woman.
Yeah. No, I really like to try just so I can see them fail.
Yeah,
but no, I don't want to even see them try, because then that is ruining the franchise.
But they're not going to do it.
Ruining the franchise. People say, "Oh, it was ruined with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull." It wasn't. Indiana Jones had many, many, many adventures. Yeah, it's not like they killed him off at the end and that's how he ended up dead. Or
you know what?
I mean, I think the fact that when he married, that was dead enough for him.
Do you know what, Matt and Swap Shop? Have you seen the trailer for Bradley Cooper's new film?
Yes.
He is dressed like Indiana Jones. He comes
Really?
off that thing and he
that.
looks like
Did you
Indiana
notice that
Jones. I was
too?
thinking
I
maybe
noticed
Bradley
that too.
Cooper could be Indiana Jones. I was thinking to
I
myself.
noticed that too. You're right.
Yeah.
I haven't
No,
seen
I
this.
did
No.
notice that too. I went, that's very Indiana Jones-esque.
Yeah. I
And
was thinking to
but
myself,
then it went, but then the trailer just went off the fucking
yeah, it
rails,
did.
and I
It
was like,
did.
what the
It did.
fuck?
Yeah, it did.
And it was like something like out of the Lighthouse or something with,
Yes.
you know, Defoe and all that. And I'm like, no, I don't think I like this.
But you know
It's
what?
like,
It proves one thing. It proves that if they were going to make another Indiana Jones film, they shouldn't have Harrison Ford. They should have replaced the actor with somebody else. Like, they should, because it makes no sense. Harrison Ford is 70 something old. And as you said, right, Matt, Indiana Jones has had many adventures that we never saw. Just between Temple of Doom and Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he was with the Chinese detective. Remember, the Chinese detective says to him, "I've had many adventures with you, Indy. I go first." Remember, so it's in the canon. He's had loads of adventures before he even got to Raiders of the Lost Ark. So you could easily cast someone else to play Indy. You just got to get the right person. That's all, So anyway.
Well, if you believe it, then I'll go with
it. You don't believe it?
Well, no, I just couldn't see anyone else in that role. A lot of people were touting that fat bloke from
Chris
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
Chris Pratt. But you know what, right, mate? Listen, when Sean Connery played Bond and they were saying he wasn't playing Bond again, a lot of people said no one can take the place of Connery. And Roger Moore stepped in, and the rest is history. So that's what I think. I think all it needs is the right person to play Indiana Jones and move forward. And now you've got new adventures with Indiana Jones. That's what I think,
Shadow Man agrees with me.
Does he? Oh, dear. Well, what do you think, Matt? Do you reckon we could replace Harrison Ford with Indiana Jones? No? Oh, he's not there.
Me?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, you.
Oh, yeah, I thought when you say Matt, I just think I always talk to Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Swap shop, sorry.
I'm the naughty boy. Come on.
They could they could replace him, but it would, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't accept anyone other than Anthony and Gruber, because he's got to look like him. He's got to look like him.
Yeah, well, that's one way of going, I guess.
Yeah,
he's a good age for it as well.
You're right, because they did do that whole young Indiana Jones stuff too, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, I never go into that because he just didn't look like him.
No, not only that, but it didn't feel like Indiana Jones.
No,
it didn't. Yeah, it's a TV show.
There was no payoff at the end. It was just a lot of stunts and stuff.
There was no massive set pieces. There was no crazy action going on.
The comics were better. The comics were better, and I've read the comics. And they were much more like in tune with the movies.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it plenty of times before, but I just getting Gruber on board immediately. He looks enough like him. You don't even need to put CGI on him, and make the adaptations of Spear of Destiny and Fate of Atlantis, 2 movies, boom, straight away, back to back. Start filming right now. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I made a bit of a boo boo with that with Drew Struzan actually.
Oh yeah.
I posted this photo of I don't know if you know about this, Mega Geek, but there was a movie called Indiana Jones, and there was a game called Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and I really liked the cover art. So I said, "Oh, this is one of my favorites of yours," and Drew said, "I didn't do that." Oh fuck, shit, sorry. It's good to know.
I reckon they could replace him, and Anthony and Brugger sounds like a great idea, but they won't do that. They won't. They'd rather get Indiana Jones turned into a woman than actually treat the franchise with respect.
How's that going to work though?
Don't care.
But what I mean is that's not even. At least it kept it in the realm of possibility. The fact that they did what they did, with these religious artifacts and that. I don't know if there's a fucking magical ring that makes people swap genders. But
there is an female Indiana Jones, and she's called Tomb Raider. Do you know what I mean? That's it's there. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? And it's like, well, did you hear about Hayley Atwell?
What about her? Don't tell me her and I thought you were going to say they were going to get married.
No, she's doing the new voice of Lara Croft.
Oh yes, of course. But she's got a great voice though, and she's got a great bod,
She does.
and she's got a great
Oh,
face, and she's got great legs.
Yes,
got
but
the
they
full
tried
package.
to hide that.
I
They tried
thought
to
you
hide that.
I thought you was going to say to me that she was going to get married to Tom Cruise. I was going to shout no.
You'd employ her in a second, wouldn't you?
Oh,
I know
yeah,
you would.
You know what? Right. Even though she's incredibly good looking and buxom at that, she's an incredibly great actress. She's a good actress. You know, that's the thing. So
Yeah.
there you go. You know.
Yeah, she was good. I really enjoy that's the weird thing. A lot of people don't like Captain America, and I think it's one of the last great Marvel films, to be honest. I hated Thor. I thought, well, I mean, I watch it, but I was like, it's a lot better than Dark World and the other horrible piece of shit, Ragnarok. But Captain America, it always sustained that believability that it was from the comics, you know? It was like he was a man out of time, you know? He was, and he'd lost the love of his life.
Yeah. As I said, you know, she'd make a good, she'd make a good,
She'd make a good anything.
Yeah, she would, wouldn't she? You know, if I was making a Bond film, I would like her to be I don't think you're allowed to say this anymore, but I will say a Bond girl. She'd make a really good Bond girl, I reckon.
Yeah, and you made a good point saying that, you know, like that I've heard you say is like, you know, she'd make a good doctor. She would actually make a good doctor
if they did it right.
She can act. Well, she can act.
Gender.
So, you know, I mean, but that's the thing, isn't it? It's all to do with acting. You may look nice and everything, but you know, I mean, it's like Jennifer Connelly. I'd love to see Jennifer Connelly as the doctor, you know, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
But I think you just like to see Jennifer Connelly. I think.
Yeah. Well, yes, young maybe
Jennifer
as a young
Connelly.
Indiana Jones, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I love her as in Labyrinth and all that sort of stuff. So.
I think you just stop it as I love her.
That too. And that's getting really creepy now. So I think we might wrap this up.
Okay.
It's been really awesome to have you on Mega Geek.
No worries,
and
mate.
Matt, Swap Shop, you're welcome back anytime, mate. Thank you so much for coming in short notice.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Yeah, it's good to catch up with you. And please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell when I'm going to drop another video, because it's going to happen fairly soon. I'm working on it at the moment. There's a Doctor Who, so you won't get any Doctor Who in this one, but you'll get some Doctor Who in the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt is very tired, and we can tell.
Yeah, I keep forgetting what time it is over there. Yeah,
it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. So thankfully, we don't have any Spacebook to do. So unfortunately, I may have to say goodbye to PJ. I won't be able to do PJs in the morning, but it's only about 4 hours away. But yeah, and don't worry, we're not in lockdown. We're fine. We ain't Nazi Germany. We're all good.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.